Thì tụi em sẽ tới đó và chứng minh.
Here's an overview of how Coach Comms works. Each team may assign one coach per game, submitted with the starting roster. Coaches can be changed between games. Only a head coach, assistant coach, or analyst is eligible. Sub-players are not allowed. Use of the Coach Comms is optional. Here's how Coach Comms operates during matches. The coach is placed in an isolated room, wearing a soundproof headset to ensure competitive integrity. They may only view the 5-player POVs on stage. No live stream, spectator mode, or external devices are permitted. Each team has 3 Coach Comms uses per game, with 45 seconds per use. Unused users do not carry over. After all users are exhausted, the coach may leave the room. If they leave early, they cannot return. Team members not participating will have access to standard spectator mode for post-game review. Coach Comms has received positive feedback from teams and fans and adds an additional strategic layer to the game.
Welcome back to the LCP. Welcome back to another BO5 here tonight. I am Logan. This is Leo, and tonight we will be taking you on a magical journey between the LJL's DFM and the PCS's GZ. Welcome back, Leo.
Oh my god, Logan, I am so excited to be here. I'm even more excited to be casting with you. This is a real treat indeed, and we've got a pretty fun game tonight. We get to see GZ back in the saddle, my personal favorites. I'm so excited, and personally, I can't contain my excitement to get into these games.
We'll allow it. You are allowed to get excited here in the LCP, and GZ, obviously, you know, we're both from Australia. They are honorary Osh team until potentially we get a real one through that Flash Oceania qualifier. But yesterday we had some fantastic gameplay. There was a penta, but let's look ahead at the seeding matches here. Do you want to take us through it, Leo?
Yeah, so throughout the seeding matches, what we had is CFO coming ahead 3-2 versus MVK. And then in this best of 5 in the middle here, we got GZ versus DFM. And then Team Secret Wales, of course, versus CFO. Thoughts on this, Logan?
Yeah, look, I'm really keen for it. Team Secret Wales versus CFO on that Sunday night. It's like the Sunday night showdown between the region's best and the region's previous best. So that will be a good clash. But looking at the teams tonight, Ground Zero Gaming, Ejung, Husha, Uniboy, Betty, and Kaiwing. You know them, you love them, you've been watching them all year long. But that refresh with Uniboy and Betty doing so much good, backed up by the minds, the strategists, Radis and Skywalk, that coaching team there, Leo.
Yeah, I mean, we saw their drafting potential in the last game I casted where they were versus CFO. We saw their drafting potential, and specifically, I want to point out Uniboy, a really solid mid laner, so much just roaming map pressure, just the ability to activate onto these pushes, activate onto these dives is something you don't see in many mid laners, but you see it in Uniboy, and it is so potent.
Well, that was what we were talking about before the show even started, right? Uniboy has been to the world stage twice in his career, so he has a lot of experience behind him. And you're so right, on that Ari in that mid lane, he was a monster on those roams, but this is Detonation Focus Me. It's Momo, it's Citrus, Fisher, Karkun, and Woody, the LJL's representatives. Now, SHG were actually knocked out of Split 3 first, and DFM was sort of their next best hope before they went down to Garm. Tana, Paz, and Gizmo helming up the coaching team here for DFM.
Yeah, I'm really interested in seeing how Woody plays out. I love Woody's champ pool. He plays that more aggressive style of support, and I'm very interested to see if we're going to get an aggressive couple of games today.
That's it, but let's take a look at tonight's featured matchups here. Pretty good one. We've got Husha and Citrus in the jungle for both of these teams. Now, these stats are not really a blowout either way. Is there any kind of number here that stands out to you, Leo? Anything that you'd like to kind of take us on a journey with, or are you just happy to brief over this one?
Well, listen, I think we have to take a look at Husha's, specifically the CS per minute, KP, and KDA combined. Those three stats show this player as a very just stable player, keeping ahead of the curve, keeping ahead of the enemy jungler, and just keeping on top of everything, which is sort of the jungler's job. It's jungling and juggling all the priorities, and I think we can see that as a very competent player in Husha. And Citrus is going to need to keep his level if he wants to keep afloat.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's like the jungler is like the mother hen of the team, if you will. They kind of have to like put out those spot fires in all the lanes, and they have to like help their laners up and, you know, grow up to be level 18 champions to be able to go out into the rift all on their own. But we have some predictions here tonight, Leo, and I've gone 3-0 to GZ, and you've gone 3-1. Can I ask about that one game, mate?
Let me break this down. Listen, GZ are looking so on form. They're looking so strong, and I'm so excited to see the performance they put on. But I just don't want to count out DFM. I really do think they can scrape out a game. If Fisher can get ahead on maybe his Rise, or what I would love to see is his Akali, he could potentially take over in combined with Woody's aggressive playstyle, and could maybe sneak a game out of GZ's claws.
Yeah, and I think it's safe to say that, you know, DFM, they've kind of scaled up over 2026, Momo especially in that top lane. I really do think that he's improved. He's now kind of a middle of the pack, pushing toward the top side now that he's had that time to scale, grow, synergize with the rest of DFM. But you take a look over at Ground Zero Gaming, they had new additions. They brought in Uniboy, they brought in Betty, and they immediately leveled up. Kaiwing so strong on that support in the bot lane with an average of 82% kill participation. So I'll be looking for Kaiwing to get active, to roam, to have impact in these other lanes and set up his solo laners for success. But like you said, if Husha and Uniboy, the jungler and mid laner of Ground Zero Gaming, are able to link up and be proactive, use their initiative, I think DFM might struggle into that aggression.
Yeah, it really is a level of, and I do think eyes are going to be on as the featured matchup. The eyes are going to be on the jungler, and I really do have to focus and look at the support Woody here, because we need to be matching Kai Wing's roams. We've seen how good just where he needs to be on this map, and Kai Wing, he feels like he's got a finger in every single pie, in every single fight, and it's going to be on Woody's head to match that.
Yeah, absolutely. And like we even saw some of the decision making last night, right? There was a Nocturne pickup and a Pantheon used to counter, but the Pantheon of Shadow was just so much more proactive. He was just making the plays, forcing that Nocturne on the back foot, which is not something you see too often. So I would love to see that both of these teams have kind of watched that and brought that aggressive early game energy with them and snowball these leads. I predicted 3-0 GZ. Yes, it wouldn't surprise me if DFM are able to take a game here tonight, but GZ, I mean, they haven't been in bad form coming into the back end of this. They 3-0'd SHG, sending them home. They were also 1-2'd by Deep Cross Gaming, but DCG, they're basically our second best team. There's absolutely no shame in taking a game before you go down to them. So they're a good, competent team, and I feel like they're quite confident coming into this one.
Yeah, and I really think they should be. I think there's a level of confidence, and they should know just how strong their team and how strong their core team is. I mean, they've got everything that they need. They've got the drafting, they've got the macro, they've got the micro, which means it's quite a hill that DFM are going to have to climb. I want to ask you, Logan, do you think, you were talking about aggressive. Do you think they're going to play more aggressive comps on both sides? Is there going to be any sort of mid-game, late-game comps at all?
Look, I definitely think there will be. I think if we get to that third game and all the high prio picks, the aggressive junglers are taken away, I think that we will go to those sort of slower ones as well, right? Early games, early aggression, later games, slow down. Last night we saw a lot of slower games, but I don't think we're going to see Lee Sin on the Rift until if we get to like a game 4 or a game 5. Do you have any call-outs on the drafts that stand out to you from either team here, Leo, or are you just hoping for some good quality league?
Listen, I've been looking at both. I've been looking at both their core like key picks, and this is what I'm really excited for. They actually both play quite an aggressive comp. I mean, specifically Citrus plays a really aggressive junglers, and I'm hoping to see some of these aggressive picks.
Yeah, 100%. I think either way, we are going to see DFM put forward their best against Ground Zero Gaming here tonight, vying for championship points. But let's go to the Riot Fist Bump, then the games.
希望。
欢迎来到 LCP Arena 第4周第3天的赛程。这场比赛将会是今天出战的2支队伍在本赛段的最后一场对决，由 GZ 出战 DFM。 很不幸的，两支战队在这个赛段最后还是面临到了升降赛的压力。但是我们所有人都期待着一场酣畅淋漓、刀光剑影的比赛。马上欢迎双方选手进场。上路，一剑，Momo。打野互下 Citrus， 中路 Uni Boy Fisher。下路 Betty Cocoon， 辅助 Kaiwin Udi。教练 Skywalk Pass。这场比赛会是 DFM 再次证明他们的首胜绝非侥幸，还是会由 GZ 一剑开天门呢？比赛正式开始。
Thank you so much for that rousing introduction here, Tommy, as both of our teams deserve. Ground zero, they've picked up Ijung and Betty there for the 2v2 matchup, because here in the LCP, Leo, we love a good 2v2 as DFM lock in Momo and Fisher.
Wow, an interesting top laner and mid laner. I kind of do love that we're bringing in some good energy. I want to talk about, I mean, the energy in this arena seems palpable. It seems in the air. Everyone's in really good spirits. And I love that. I mean, it's a high-spirited game, and maybe we can see some high spirits in this 2v2. What are you looking for? What's your favorite pick to see in the 2v2?
Look, I want to channel the spirit of Carrick's in his honor, in his name. That sort of Ivern Rengar duo would be astronomical. I'd love to see that. But if I'm going to put forward sort of a personal fun one that I really like, it's going to be that Anivia Poppy, just because you can make a wall out of absolutely nothing and then stun them into it. What about you though, Leo? What have you got?
Listen, I personally, I like a counter pick in the 2v2. I really would love to see something like a Yorick. I think Yorick is a really strange counter pick and do a lot of picks with that wall. Once you put down that wall, if there's a champion that doesn't have a dash, you combine that with some sort of high damage dealer like a Draven. You could set up a nasty little takeout very early on as we get the ADCs banned out, DFM, and we're locking in Lock. Betty on Lock and a Riven.
This is a hyper-aggressive combination. Ijung and Betty having a good old time. They're like, we are all inning. It's going to be a win or an explosive and fantastic loss here. DFM, though, yet to lock in both of theirs, having banned away that Caitlyn and that Kalista, so they've gone with the Galio, a very defensive choice. And, Nasus in the 2v2. Well, Leo, I don't think he's going to get the time to scale, though.
Well, listen up, listen, Logan. They get them more stacks now. It's 4 stacks, I believe, for a minion now with the recent patch change. But I want to talk about what the point of this Nasus is. You get the access to the Wither, which can be very powerful. We've got a more of a CC heavy comp combining with that Galio. Is that the sort of key that's going to put a stop to the sheer amount of dashes and mobility on the other side? We'll have to see. Do you have a favor, Logan? Do you have a favor of the 2v2 matchups?
I genuinely think GZ's going to take this. I mean, Locke just has so much damage early, does have slows with the nails. Riven has that stun, that mobility. Like, GZ have a hyper-mobile combination here. And we see Riven has gone for the double Dorans and Longsword. Locke gone for the double Dorans and the Amp Tome. So this is damage, damage, damage. Whereas Galerius picked up a little bit of health and AP. And that Nasus double Dorans and Amp Tome. So it's all damage all the way here, Leo.
Hold the phone, Logan. This is a little bit of
fight's
tech
breaking out.
as they're getting into it. It's an AP Nasus. It's an AP Nasus with Airy, so he actually has a lot of poke available to him.
Yeah, I'm loving this. Before the waves have even collided, Izhang's already down to about 70% health. Momo, he knows what he's doing. If he can punch the damage into that AoE, there's not much Betty and Izhang can do. They're going to have to respect it and back off here. They can't just all in on top of that as they are trading. We do take a look at those summoners, Leo. Is there anything standing out to you there?
Well, we can take a look. We've got an aggressive. I actually like the Ignite from Momo here. We have an incredibly aggressive side of GZ. We've got the double flash, double Ignite. They're looking for a single all-in to end it. And it could be here.
Oh, there's the taunt Fisher. He has to be careful here, Izhang. Okay, they're going to walk it off, but DFM is so healthy as Izhang advances forward. Ghost popped by Fisher. He wants to get out of this one. Flash from Momo. Izhang goes in. Good stun. Fisher with the knock up. Izhang has to run away. Both Ignites have gone down. DFM want more flash for flash. Izhang might just... He gets caught. He's taunted. First blood to DFM.
The Spirit Fire catching it out in the end. This Nasus, this AP Nasus is proving very resilient. Look at the health that Momo still has available to him. And Betty is getting chunked down with every Spirit Fire. They can look for a recall here. We're getting taking a little bit of a lead, certainly with that kill.
Yeah, absolutely. And as a reminder to the viewers at home, this is the LCP's 2v2 special. First team to get 2 kills wins. First team to take out the enemy turret wins. And if it goes to overtime, first team to obviously get the kill wins here as well. So there's multiple conditions. But yeah, DFM just getting the better of GZ here. They're up 1 kill. DFM got the better of GZ. They're up 1 kill.
And it's about to get worse because Nasus picked up the Faded Ashes. He's got a little bit more burn now. And to sort of counter it, it's an interesting purchase. Locke's gone for the Oblivion Orb. A bit of a strange one because the healing on both sides, I mean, Galio doesn't really have much healing. And Nasus has, of course, the infamous passive, a little bit of lifesteal, but he's not really looking to use it that much because he's just poking him down.
I mean, it's not the worst pick in the world. 40% heal and shield cut, not too bad. Obviously, it comes with that AP, but I would have liked to have seen more of a focus on that AP damage. Maybe just that tome there as Fisher they're playing for. I like this. They're pushing GZ away from that heal up. Betty wants to aggress as those nails just chipping away at DFM. Ults online for DFM though, but Izhang is still 2 levels down here. Fights in, taunt lands onto Betty. He has to be so careful. Momo laying into him. Betty's able to escape. The second Ignite goes down. DFM, they're getting the better of these fights.
Yeah, they are. They are really chunking down GZ here, and more importantly as well, chunking down the tower with each push. And the longer that GZ attempt to stay, this AP Nasus can keep cutting away. And with that Wither as well, anytime that Izhang wants to go in, he's withered out, and he has to just slowly walk through the Spirit Fire.
Yeah, very inspired choices. Izhang, he's going between his turrets here. Momo and Fisher are just bullying Betty and Izhang. Oh, have to be so careful. Good heroic entrance there to get himself out. Fisher caught up under the tower. Izhang lives with a skerrick of health. Betty advancing onto Momo. He has to get back. Good wither there. Betty unable to follow up. And now it is 1-for-1. These teams are tied up in this 2v2 for the right of first selection.
GZ have taken a foothold with that kill, but something to pay attention to is GZ's tower is down to its last plate, while DFM still have so much sort of health, so much resource to use, and with Betty not getting a full back off, he's going to have a bit of an awkward timing on when he either gets a back off, or if he even does, considering this Nasus is going to be back in the game. Got that empowered recall. Riven's picked up that Hex Drinker.
Yeah, I don't mind this position though. Obviously, the waves are in a good spot for Betty to be able to take that recall. It's going to give Izhang some solo time to get that XP, try and catch up. But DFM, they're sieging this turret. They might just win here. Ooh. Actually, a good taunt here. Momo goes back in. He catches out Betty. Momo has to be so careful. Izhang playing on the edge is ignited. Good shield there to save himself, but now Izhang will have to retreat. DFM will still have 2 members. They have that health advantage. GZ, they're forced to stick around. The wave is going to crash here. Oh, but we do see, yeah, they're taking the recall. They wanted to take a bit of a reset here and just breathe.
They're breathing, but they don't have much breath left. Every single wave that crashes ticks a little bit more down. And, you know, something I want to call out is that Hextech Alternator pickup from Momo. That extra 40 damage of magic damage really impacted that fight so much, forcing the Riven to sort of have to rethink that all in. And I think we'd be looking at a final assault here. We've picked up a second Faded Ashes on the Galio. We have so much poke, and I don't think that these moats are going to be enough for GZ to hold it back.
No, I agree with you there. DFM going full AP builds. Fisher, torn onto Betty. Betty's caught, but no follow-up. I like that, though, because unable to trade back. Fisher is still full health. Izhang finds an angle onto Momo, but it is repelled. Ult goes out from Betty, and DFM, they're just going to walk this one back. Oh, Momo's so low. Betty on the lock getting a great angle. The Ignite ticket might... Oh, the little dance with the heels.
Wow, a confident one indeed. We do have tempo for the likes of GZ.
Oh, okay. Wow. Betty just gets it. He just goes in for Momo, and look at the faces. They're absolutely loving it. And that's one of my favorite things about the 2v2 here, Leo, is they just look like they're having a great time. But GZ, they secure themselves right of first selection.
Absolutely, and well fought at that. But I agree with you. Look, everyone here is smiling. Everyone's in a good mood. It just lightens up the arena to such a beautiful brightness. But what I want to talk about there is I really didn't think that was going to occur in the way it did. I mean, we had that. It was a little bit of a greedy back, but honestly, GZ coming out of a bad-looking position considering the poke levels that DFM had available to them. We're going to get into game, though. So what does winning that 2v2 give us, Logan? What does the 2v2 winning give the team that won?
Yeah, no, great question. So it is the right of first selection. That's something that's here in the LCP. And what that means is GZ can either pick first or second pick, or they can pick red side, blue side. Then their opponents are allowed to pick what is left over. So it comes down to what team prioritizes which more. If you do take a look at what has happened over the LCP in Split 3, GZ, they've played both sides equally, but they have won so much more on that blue side. They've been so much better around those grubs, around that Baron, whereas you take a look at DFM, and then so far they've kind of won one game on each side, so we don't really have a read on what side is best for them. But if it were me personally, I would go for that red side. I love dragons. I really think they're such a valuable objective because they can potentially snowball into a win con.
Yeah, especially in this meta, I think that that extra buff that the dragon gives is so potent, and what you need is an aggressive jungler to secure them, and we might see as we get into the first draft, banning away Rumble and Cassiopeia equivalently.
Yeah, I like these bans already. Cassiopeia, such an omnipresent threat, has such a high pick rate and such, a decent win rate we'll go with here. She hasn't won every game she's played in, but when she does, she wins hard. Nocturne very, very rarely ever sees the Rift. Such a staple here in the LCP, and dare I say around the world, because we've seen Owner on him, we've seen in the LEC, so on, and it's just... yeah, like Carrick says, warps the game around him. And there is that Lee Sin ban I was talking about before we even got to the draft, Leo. He's so aggressive in the early stages, and GZ, they just want to nip that one in the bud for now.
Yeah, and I think as we're seeing from these drafts, both teams banning out these aggressive picks, I think they know that either side is going to go sort of for the throat here. So I'm curious to see if there's more centered bans. I mean, yes, on the side of GZ, we've got a couple junglers, and of course we're banning out that Cassiopeia from Kakun, but I'm interested to see if they focus more on a particular player. As we start with an Ezreal pickup, a bit of it's a divisive champion. What are your takes on the Ezreal lock-in first, Logan?
I love Ezreal. He is inarguably the #1 AD carry in the world right now. If you can lock him in for your AD, you are bound to have a great start. Counter to that, though, they were hovering the Syndra. Syndra is still arguably the best flex option to force your opponents to draft around it. Syndra can work so well in that mid lane with Fisher or on that bot side for Karkun. However, I don't think you want to draft a Syndra into an Ezreal.
Yeah, it's certainly a risky one with access to that arcane shift. I want to talk about what there was a couple hovers there. There was a hover of a lock, but more importantly, we could potentially get a Bel'Veth lock-in. Now, this is a pretty crazy champion with that rework coming through. Bel'Veth has become a late game monster. We're not going to see it though. We're going to get that Syndra you were talking about. An interesting pick into the Ezreal as it's it's very dependent on how you utilize that scatter the week, but it's a confident one that I do like seeing from the side of DFM. The J4 pickup combined with the Victor's Arcane Storm, this is a classic.
Yeah, no, you just Cataclysm, you put the Storm on top of them, and Sailor V, thanks for coming, because Rumble obviously banned. That removes that hot pot combo with the Equalizer, but GZ, they found another one. You also throw that Ezreal all over the top into that lockdown. The thing with the Cataclysm is it provides so much utility. It guarantees they're either going to flash away or it guarantees you're going to get a kill, essentially here. But so many high prio picks going over in this game one as Jace locked in for DFM. Again, he's risen so much. From the ashes, I dare say, in split one, he was an absolute monster. He was a jungling superstar with that lethality build. And then Riot kind of curtailed his jungling power, and now he's just back in the top lane. Like, what can't Jace do?
Yeah, he's so flexible of all trades, but at the same time, he's a master of everything. Damage, utility, heal is something that I really love from Jace, and I think a good Jace player utilizes the fact that he can push away a lot of different types of enemies and a lot of sort of cancel out a lot of engages. I do want to point out that Jace isn't always the best pick into a J4. Now, of course, that's a J4 jungle, not a J4 top, but J4 has an okay time, and especially it's a very good gank for the J4 into the Jace. He can find himself very vulnerable, but once again, Momo seems confident on the pick, and hopefully we can see how he plays around this. And potentially it's a bit of a bait out. You know, you open up with a Jace top to allow that J4 to come top. You potentially risk the 2v1 and give your bot lane a bit more breathing room. And I want to see what we're going to get picked out for Kakun and potentially for Woody here. Of course, that could be a Syndra flex. What are your thoughts on if that's a Syndra flex into bot, Logan?
I really don't think it will be because of that Ezreal in the bot side, but if Syndra does flex, Karkun's going to have a rough time against Betty. Betty is one of the, dare I say, most notorious Ezreals in the LCP. He pilots that champion to great effect. He is a veteran ADC, and Syndra, the thing with mages is they're very bursty, whereas Ezreal has a lot more sustain. You arcane shift that stun, and Syndra is just a sitting duck, but lock has been locked in. That will mean Syndra will be in the bot lane, lock will be in the mid lane. So, just obviously Karkun feels himself on that Syndra, but I think Betty's going to be able to punish him pretty easily.
It's a confident pick, and we might get a little bit of a counter pick here as we're seeing the Anivia be hovered. Anivia here could genuinely go anywhere because we've already seen the Ezreal. We're pretty confident that's going to go ADC. The Victor's typical of mid lane. I believe that's going to be an Anivia top. Now, Anivia top, you build a little bit of bruiser, you build a little bit of survivability, and a pick like Jace, which can be a lane bully, gets completely nullified. And that gank angle we were talking about earlier with the J4 gets 10 times easier when you have access to the wall. And we're finishing it off with a Shen. That's going to be a Shen support, I believe, but it also, this is the amazing thing about the meta, Logan, it could be the other way around. We could be looking at a Nivea support and a Shen top.
Yeah, right now, I dare say it's a sure thing or a strong 95% chance that Shen is in the bot side. And I dare say you made the right call initially with Anivia going to that top side, just able to outrange and prevent that Jace from getting any access. You want to come out ahead of that lane as I thought we were going to lock in a Tahm Kench.
Wow.
We haven't seen a Tahm in a long time, but it is Rakan, which means there will be no Xayah Rakan later on here in this BO5 too, as they do the hot shoe shuffle. We get the graphics updated, and Leo, does either one of these compositions stand out to you?
Can I be honest, Logan? These are some really crazy comps. I want to talk about DFMs. DFMs is a glowing nuclear reactor that I'm afraid to touch and sort of break into, because it's really hard trying to understand what their main cohesion point is. I mean, we can see, we're going to have that Hound's Pursuit, we're going to have that Neferi, and then we're really playing off that Syndra stun. I mean, that Syndra stun is absolutely everything. It is the lifeline for DFM's comp. And so I think what we're looking at is a bit of a problem with too many eggs in this one basket, where if that's our lifeline and that misses, DFM's comp is going to collapse. We've got a little bit of poke and a little bit of a extended team fight with the Jace, but I really do think Ground Zero's comp is very well rounded, and it's going to come into its own in this game, and it's up to DFM to pilot their comp to perfection if they want a chance.
You're not wrong. Obviously, Rakan is a fantastic engage tool as well. It will be up to DFM to follow through. But yeah, look, engage tools galore on the side of GZ. Shen with the E-Flash, Victor with the stun field, J4 with the Cataclysm, and Nivea with the wall. I mean, there's just so many different ways for them to start and end fights with DFM. They're going to have to be so careful. But we are on Summoner's Rift for Game 1 of DFM versus Ground Zero Gaming here tonight, Leo. And why don't you take us through some of these skins? Because we love a good skin here in the LCP.
I mean, look at these. We've got the Black Frost and Nivea. A beautiful skin, changes all the animations, all the, well, not the animations, but all the graphics. I mean, my personal favorite is this High Noon lock. The sound effects alone are worth it. It's one of the sort of a dings. It's like the heart steel noise. Every single nail that hits is like a beautiful ding in my ears. I do want to point out, so we get a very early Torn off.
Yeah, that's okay. That's just some cheeky bit of poke. Woody's going to be able to heal that back up with that Quill, the Gleaming Quill there, doing so much work to provide sustain. But look at Karkun. He's already sub 50% health, and he's had to crack that healing potion.
Yeah, it's not what you want out of these mage supports, or mage ADCs, which really want that slow control of the lane. We can just take every single wave, sit back, and scale. Something I want to point out, which I'm loving, is Betty's picked up the exhaust, has chosen to go for the exhaust, which means it makes that huge sort of, okay, we've seen the target, time to engage, activate the Rakan, activate the Neferi. It puts a spanner in the works and really messes up the general game plan. And once again, it's what I was talking about in draft. We're relying so heavily on that Scatter the Weak hitting because our main engage tools are probably going to get exhausted the moment we go in. Might be a bit rough.
Yeah, for sure. As Momo comes back to lane, he didn't even get to 100% health here. He really wanted to catch that wave. He didn't want to miss the XP, didn't want to miss the gold, but Yizhang piloting this Anivia very, very well, and that is exactly what you would expect, right? Range advantage over melee, and I expect the mid lane to go exactly the same way. Uniboy on that Victor to abuse that early game rage advantage into the melee of this lock. Yes, he has those nails, and he does have Electrocute, but it's going to be so easy for Uniboy to trade into him here.
Yeah, and I also think the general game plan of DFM, they really want to get ahead early. It is so vital for them to get a lead early. But he chucks a beautiful arcane shift. It's so vital for them to get ahead early, get that vision control, get just control of the map, because the scaling aspect of Ground Zero is imperatively strong. We're looking at Nivea late game, Victor late game. I mean, we've seen that Ezreal once it gets a couple items, and I'm looking at DFM, and they can't compete once we get past that 25-minute timer, and I think it's going to be a struggle ending the game before 25 minutes, especially into the likes of an Nivea.
Well, I mean, even with the fastest recorded game in the LCP being 22 minutes, look, 22 minutes, 13 seconds, I don't think we're going to see it. Husha, though, making an angle around Momo. He will be spotted out, but a great wall from Ijang locks him up. Will they commit the flash here? Husha flags in, gets the flash from Momo, and walks away. If you get the flash, that's a W. Husha will be back in the next 5 minutes.
Yeah, and this is what I was talking about. This Jace is so vulnerable, and we've already got the flash down. We're going to have a really time just existing in what's already a difficult existence lane. And I want to take a look at we've got a dragon coming up. It's going to be that Cloud Drake in 50 seconds. You know, this is the problem with this APC setup is we're so weak early. We're really, we don't have much prio coming, at least from the bot lane early, that it's pretty much Husha's game all over this map, and especially combined with the Shen. The dueling power alone, you know, having access to the CC, the slows, and the blockage as well. It's pretty much GZ's game for the first 5 minutes, but then, yeah, in the late game, it's their game as well, as, oh dear, Logan, Momo might be in trouble, unless Husha walks away.
It's alright, he was just having a cheeky look. Momo was already dropped low, and respecting what Ijang had to offer, he takes that recall. So it was a good recall from Momo. It was, I dare say, a normal recall as that stun goes out. Betty just trying to take a recall in the face of Karkun. Like, the absolute cheek of him to do that. But like he said, that first Drake is up. And I have to imagine that GZ are going to want to get this party started and take that Cloud Drake down.
Yeah, it's going to be key, racking up these Drakes, giving them the time that they need. And once again, it's going to be really difficult for DFM to contest with the likes of a Syndra. Now, Locke picking up that the Ignite with the flash, I mean, Locke can actually duel quite early, and we have access to the ultimates now. So it's honestly a bit of a sketchy team fight that Husha might not want to take. I mean, we haven't really discussed this Neferi, but we might not get time as it looks like they're fighting over this scuttle.
Kaiwing goes in for the taunt. Great taunt. Keeps Citrus locked up. Husha goes in. Citrus W's out of the way. Fisher is exhausted, though. The rest of GZ, they are collapsing. Betty chipping away. Woody tries to get that knock up. Only clips Kaiwing. The ult from Victor goes down. It zones DFM away. Get the flash. Citrus, though, the next target goes down. GZ on the hunt. They flash forward. Uniboy, great stasis field here. GZ able to follow this one up. Fisher on the backside trying to escape. Kaiwing with the taunt. GZ rout DFM.
It was a Sun Tzu Art of War. It looked
They're not done
good
yet.
Unless
Fisher goes in, he gets another one. Woody's here with him as well. The Ignite, they get the vision control. Kaiwing has to E away for the space, but that is a lock. Double kill to Fisher. Oh, Momo dies on the top side.
it's not done yet, Logan.
Husha goes in, he flags in. Fisher there though, but he's 2v1. He has to be so careful. DFM, they don't have much mana, but Citrus has found his way back to the spot side. Cataclysm, Fisher is away. Husha dies.
The game has twisted and turned completely. What we saw was an extended team fight in that river, a solo kill top, and this weird, scrappy little incident in the bottom. Now, I want to take a look at this team fight. It actually looked amazing for DFM the moment that Purgatory came off, but the block from Shen applied so much time for the rest of GZ to just collapse. We had a great exhaust from Fisher, from Betty, stopping Fisher's engage, and then the Arcane Storm, Victor, the Control King, ensuring that there was no way we could retake the fight. It starts, or well, it does look bad as the continuation of the fight looks pretty good for the likes of GZ, but then there's a slight greed. There's a little bit of greed from Betty and Kaiwing, and it's a beautiful pickup for Fisher. A double kill, some stacks on the Dark Seal, and now the lock snowball has grown a little bit, and Dragon doesn't go over to each team.
Yeah, look, lock ahead early game is not what you want. As you know, Husha tried to extend this one, and I dare say overconfidently, he went in to a relatively healthy support, and he's like, okay, I'm not scared of you, but that still is a lock, and Citrus had enough time to get back into the fight. But Leo, it's now 8 minutes in, it's 3 kills aside, and GZ, they found themselves some advantage here.
Yeah, and it's we've got not much of a gold lead. GC has a 600 gold, but honestly, DFM is looking ready to start the snowball. We can take one grub. I think they're fine giving that second grub. They're honestly happy. But as this lot comes in, it might be another contested fight. They're feeling themselves after that little catch back, potentially.
Yeah, they've definitely got to be feeling good here. DFM, they are getting that Gleaming Quill, a little bit of healing. Woody clipped by the ultimate of Betty, undoing that healing, undoing that health as Momo. He's just being forced to stay in this lane. Ijang getting the better of him as Uniboy just controlling this mid lane. Ooh, Citrus not done with the grubs. He goes in onto Husha. Husha has to be so careful here. Woody from downtown. He came from nowhere. DFM collapsed and they take out Husha. He's hubris punished.
Logan, the Fisher Snowball. I talked about it. It's starting. Let me tell you right now, another kill on that lock. Oh, we can see this solo kill that happened. I mean, Anivia so good into Jace. There's not a lot you can do. Get walled off, get frozen, get destroyed. That's that solo kill. But what I want to keep my eyes on, 7 stacks on that Dark Seal. This lock is become a bit of a threat, and you need to shut him down. And this is something that we don't have much access to on the side of GZ. There's not a lot of concrete crowd control. You're reliant on the Victor, the slowing field. That's not reliable. You're reliant on the Shen Taunt. That's not reliable either. And the Anivia stun is also not point and click. You don't have anything to pinpoint drop down this lock, and he might be a real threat to your team.
That's very true, as Woody being a little cheeky here, just clearing that ward in the face of Betty. But what an explosive first 10 minutes to this game. DFM standing up in the face of GZ, and like you called earlier here, Leo, DFM, they have the scaling tools as well. That is a Syndra. When she gets those splinters, when she gets that execute, she'll be a menace. The problem, though, Victor on the other side, equally a strong scaling champion, and we're yet to see Ijang or Momo leave their lanes to join these team fights. So right now we're just getting the laning experience. Wait until we get to that team fight experience.
Yeah, and I mean, Anivia is so well known for the just sheer control. I mean, what's interesting is you've got 2 control mages on the side of GZ. We've got the Anivia and the Victor, but I've got to say, that setup, that sort of comp setup, does work really well into classic back to fronts. Where it might falter is DFM aren't playing a back to front. They're playing a sort of assassin burst play style, which means, yes, Ijang and Uniboy can control the map and really slow things down, but in terms of that fast-paced burst action, the likes of an Anivia and a Victor can falter a little bit, especially into a well-dodged Neferi invulnerability, as this matchup is so miserable for Momo.
Good wall here. Hush is back again, gets the flash of Momo Cataclysm. He's dead before we can finish the fight. They are just punishing Momo on this top side. He's down in CS. It's 1.1k over to Ijang here, Leo, and GZ, they're fighting their way back into this. Oh, Uniboy's found an angle onto Fisher on that lock. He puts out the ult. He's able to get away. Luckily there, that Chaos Storm, not big enough flash for... Oh, good respect out of Fisher.
The baleful gaze of the Blackfire Torch is not enough to tick this lock down. We are getting first items complete now. Picked up the Volcaic Cyclo Sword for the likes of this Neferi. That damage, it's practically a double in damage for that Neferi. And once we start seeing a couple of ganks come through, you're really going to see the potential of this item. But where I really got my eyes on is
Momo stunned again. Right, Ijang's found an angle. Citrus, though, it's 2v1. Good wall. Prevents the ult in. Ijang might be able to get away. Puts the ult down to slow Citrus up. Does go untargetable. This Anivia is so hard to lock down. That wall so well timed.
The iron wall, or should I say the frosted ice wall of top lane on Ijang. I mean, you can't gank this bird, you can't kill this bird. What can you do into this bird besides let it scale?
Momo, though, has found a way onto Ijang. He gets the passive. Can he scramble the egg in time? No. He's running hard and fast. He knows he doesn't have the health or the damage because he had to use all of his cooldowns to take Ijang out. For all of that, though, he just gets that passive. Ijung, big chillin' as GZ, they commit their first coach comms of the game. Now, as a reminder for the viewers at home here, in the LCP, each team gets 3 coach comms per game, each coach comm up to 45 seconds long. Once the coaches have finished their third comm, they must leave the room. Woody, though, found an angle onto Uniboy. Citrus in the area, Fisher here too. 3v1. Can Uniboy survive this attack? No, he cannot. Clean gank from DFM.
DFM cleaning that up. That's going to be a totem stack, although it doesn't actually look like Fisher's going for the totem here. That 99% slow on the Purgatory means that Victor's got nowhere to go. It doesn't actually look like, yeah, I'm seeing, you can see on the mini-map there, Locke didn't pick up that totem, which means that's a missing 0.5 extra percent execute. It might come in handy, you don't know. Although,
back to life though, Fisher is Woody has cataclysmed Husha. Husha's stuck there. The good ult from Betty though to clip them. We do see GZ, they take this one, they get the kill. Husha though, ulted by Citrus, the flag and drag. He's able to avoid the damage coming through. He buys himself time. Betty's here. Citrus goes down in what he thought was a sure kill on Husha.
I think what we're seeing here is the risk of a blind pick Neferi. The potential of the J4 flag and drag to just completely stop the Neferi engage. We saw it as well with the Anivia engage stopping, and it makes the Neferi a little bit of a rough pickup. Fisher playing this as well as he can, and it's a good little bit of backup from Woody, but Woody doesn't really have the mana to continue an extended fight and provide the assistance he needs. As we can see, he's forced to back off. Look at that flag and drag. A beautiful piece of micro from Husha. Living that with the Sundead Sky as well. He's a happy soul.
Yeah, that extra sustain and frankly, that damage from Betty's True Shot Barrage really got them across the line there. If that didn't clip him, I really think he would have died in that fight, like before he gets a turnaround kill though. The Drakes coming, Fisher's found an angle onto Betty. Purgatory goes down, Betty rooted up, locked down, Woody here too. The Storm tries to repel them, but not enough. Clean pick from DFM. They just saw the target and pulled the trigger.
This Locke snowball, it's growing and growing. That's another kill under Fisher's belt. Once again, obligatory point out, he didn't pick up the totem, unfortunately, so we're missing out on another stack, but it doesn't really matter because it's an extra bit of gold in this Locke's pocket that he's very happy to have. Now, we do have the Rift Herald pickup, but I believe they're just looking to trade not just this bot tower, but we've got this the Stone Drake up in the bot side. We're going to trade that. And honestly, DFM is so happy to trade this. It's our second Drake pickup, a little bit of extra resistances. It's looking to be a soul point fight. DFM want to make it. Unless here comes a TP, Logan.
TP committed though. We've got 2 members of GZ. They repel Citrus. That Mountain Drake less than 50% health here, but it was that ward that just spotted it out. They were able to take the grubs and now they're here for the Drake. They're going to use that Battle Herald. They're going to get that mid lane priority here, Leo, before this fight breaks out. There's the Drake. Here's the push.
Really unfortunate. I mean, it was a beautiful trade, seemingly, for DFM, but it's turned completely by one Anivia TP. I really do hope that it was taken into account. DFM knew to give away the Rift Herald because if there's an Anivia on the enemy team, it completely invalidates the Rift Herald. She can just follow wherever the Rift Herald is and wall off the charge, completely ensuring that you don't really get, besides of course the gold and XP that you get from taking the Rift Herald, it means you don't get a charge at all. So it was a beautiful trade, but I mean, this bird, she's a tricky customer, that's for sure.
She's definitely a bird of prey, and Ijung is the pilot. 7 stacks on that Rod of Ages, less than 3 minutes until he's going to get another level advantage up and over Momo on that Jace. Right now, though, Tana using the first coach comms of Detonation Focus Me, as we do see Citrus takes out that Scuttle Crab, has that pickaxe, 2 longswords working towards a high damage build on the Neferi. Fisher, though, needlessly large rod, as well as the Hextech Alternator. He's going to be accelerated even more with that item advantage. Uniboy, though, with the Oblivion Orb, what do you think he's trying to prevent here with that one?
Yeah, listen, I mean, you have to be honest. I mean, looking at this comp indirectly, there isn't a huge amount of healing for the likes of DFM. I believe that's a direct counter to Locke's Ignite Soul ability. I mean, it's got that heal on it, and potentially you're just looking to ensure that this massive beast that DFM have, this creature of assassination, it can't get a foothold and take out your comp, or at least it can't survive in your comp because you've got an Arcane Storm ticking away and taking it out.
Good wall there. Citrus flashes forward. He's trying to get the passive out of Ijung. He's tanking up that tower, though. Oh, amazing untargetable there from Citrus, but he was spotted out by that ward. Ijung backed away immediately, and Citrus actually punished quite heavily for his aggression there, Leo. No longer with the flash. Fisher also burnt his flash, so quite frankly, Ijung comes out on top there. He's happy with that and has his malevolence. He's hitting his stride. He's proving to be this dominating top laner for GZ.
Yeah, and something to point out, though, is Ijung, not only is he dominating, but he's soaking so much pressure. That's not just the second gank that he's completely denied and stopped Citrus from doing, but more importantly, it's the second ult he's absorbed. It's a second Hound's Pursuit that he's absorbed, which means that Citrus can't look in any other lanes, and specifically, you know, Citrus doesn't have the angle to look at this Ezreal, can't really go on Uniboy without ult, so it's such a dominance over the whole map just from top lane for Ijung here.
Yeah, because he's keeping Momo in that top lane. Fight breaks out, though. Kaiwing does get the taunt onto Woody. Karkun here with the stun. Kaiwing trying to walk this one out. GZ, they're collapsing. Both teams disengaging here. Husha just goes for a little bit of vision with that flag. Good wall from Ijung. Not much follow-up. Citrus over the wall. Husha might be caught here. Woody with the quickness into the back line. Gets onto 2 with the charm. Is able to get the knock-up. GZ respond. They take Citrus out. Quick, smart Fisher in the back lines here. Betty dies. Uniboy has turned up. He's able to repel the rest of DFM. They're not going to follow up, but a good fight from DFM.
A ticking time bomb until this lock is in the fight, and now with access to that Shadow Flame, you can see the steamroller. The moment that Fisher enters, it is a disaster because you've got so much control. I mean, what we saw there, Ijung's glacial wall and that storm allows the fight to slow down, but with this explosive comp, you can do so much.
Taking out Fisher. The storm gets him. He solos him in the mid lane. GZ's Uniboy will not be kept down.
We were questioning the Oblivion Orb, and we saw its use right there. That soul ignited, not healing as much as it needs to. And potentially, that's going to be the key item to change this game. We can see this fight. I mean, look at the control we have. We can wall them off. We can create these zones. But we have so much explosive ability from the likes of Woody. Yes, this Neferi gets blown up, but that's a big amount of abilities used for blowing up just one of the assassins, and in comes Fisher, the other main assassin of DFM, to clean up. Dragon's going to be up, though. We're going to need to fight it. There's a lot of summoner spells available for the likes of GZ, specifically that Ezreal, who we can see in that team fight did a lot of damage. The flash available on Ezreal means that he is so slippery and really hard to pin down. And what we saw on the other side, Kakun's damage, potent as well now with that Hex Tech Rocket Belt, with that the Blackfire Torch. And so once again, I really do think a big eye should be on those Scatter the Weaks, which was just used. So we've got about a 9-second timer before DFM can actually do anything.
Yeah, you are so right here. GZ, they have priority, they have control as they've started up this third Drake of the game. A great ward there, though, by DFM. Karkun might be caught here. Husha does Cataclysm in. Karkun's able to flash away from that one. Will not be trapped. DFM, they are rallying. And the Drake slowly going down. GZ, though, they've unified. They've balled up. Oh, Karkun goes in for Husha. He will live this. Good stasis trap. Woody trapped on the wrong side of the wall. Momo trying to get some chip damage from that top side. Drake at 2k. We see them go in. Kaiwing goes in. He's able to get back out. But in the backside, Momo, the Citrus goes in with the ult onto the Ijung as well. The good wall there from Ijung to save himself. Karkun tries to get a stun back. Uniboy on to, oh my god, Citrus. He goes down on the backside. Fisher, Karkun on the run. Ijung has to be so careful. That is an accelerated lock. He gets the egg. He cracks the Nivea wide open. No more passive. Betty gets Karkun.
A crazy fight. That is an insane dragon fight for both teams here, but GZ coming out on top. It was actually Ijang securing the Drake there. Those smites not securing it, but the bird on top lane, Ijang, the dominant player over this whole game, securing his role as the king of this game. Fisher might be caught out by that exact bird.
Yeah, Ijang's here, Kaiwing's here, but Woody is also here. It's a 2v2. Betty here first, though. Fisher slowed up by that Glacial Storm. Betty just takes Fisher out. You can be an accelerated lock, but you die to that Ezreal. They get that mid-tier 1, and they are on the retreat. They have the numbers advantage. They have the priority. Betty online. 2.5 items here, Leo, and they are advancing with their gold lead, too.
Yeah, and I mean, I really want to point out in that last fight, it was the downfall of DFM to play these fights slow like they played it. They have so much control on the side of GZ. This Anivia, this Victor, they can just squeeze so much damage out of you, push you around. You need to just explode. You just need to go, and they need to go on this Baron fight.
Yeah, we do see DFM closing in. Kaiwing trying to act as bouncer here. Baron goes low. Red does get it. Husha takes the Baron. Momo retreating. So much damage. He dies in the face of so many members of GZ. The Cataclysm is good. They're able to take out the support of DFM as well. They're on the retreat. GZ, they take the Baron. They take the fight. They are advancing down this mid lane. A good wall. Zones Karkun away. The response from Fisher, swift, but he will be unable to take Uniboy out. He just has that range advantage here, Leo, as he keeps chipping Fisher down.
Yeah, and it's just going to be a battle of defense now, but for the likes of DFM, you don't have great D-push, and I don't think you even have enough damage for this. Uniboy has the Zhonya's.
Oh, good flash, Karkun. Oh, the stopwatch to save Uniboy, but he's stuck. Fisher is able to get the job done there. Karkun's actually solo bolo, but Woody finds an angle onto Husha, onto Kaiwing here. They will take Husha down. DFM is collapsing. They are punishing GZ for their hubris. They got the Baron, and now they're falling apart. Ijang forced a stopwatch as well. He goes golden, does take out Fisher on the backside. Ijang, though, from across the wall, Citrus finds a great angle. Karkun melts in the face of Betty. Arcane shift over the wall here to get onto this jungler. He just went untargetable. The dogs are dying. Kaiwing in pursuit here. Citrus, though, will be caught out. Betty with that arcane shift is just so fast. Citrus might actually get away because no other members of GZ are in pursuit. Betty, such a heads up arcane shift, pinces him into Kaiwing. Kaiwing just keeping him in position. Nothing Citrus can do.
That's a 3-item Ezreal. Those Qs are hitting like a truck. It's sort of been a very Ijang, Husha, Uniboy game, and Betty's, you know, yeah, as you said, been clipping a lot with these ultimates, but now we're a full-born ADC. We've got 3 items, and we are a threat. And you've got to make a decision. Do you go for the frozen bird? Do you stop this Anivia? Okay, maybe you don't choose that. Let's go on the Victor. He's got a Zhonya's. Okay, maybe you don't choose that. Then we go on the Ezreal. He's got Exhaust and Arcane Shift. There's so many choices that DFM need to make, and we can see it, how confusing it is for them in this team fight. There's so many different decisions they need to make in a split second. They were thinking about, do we engage this Baron? We saw Kakun, hard to find an angle truly. Woody can't really get a good engage without lock there. So it's made for a differing position as they
Back to live, Woody's here. GZ sieging up. They do still have a couple of members with that Baron. It's 4,000 gold at 20 seconds. The siege is dissipating here, though. GZ, they came, they saw, they conquered, and they don't want to over-aggress. They don't want to lose these advantages that they have gained for themselves here, Leo, as we do see Citrus just clearing out his camps. 20 seconds until the 4th Drake of the game. DFM, they could go to Soul Point here if they're able to secure this one, as we take another look at this mid lane push.
Yeah, and we can see here, I mean, it was a brilliant catch out from this Syndra, and it didn't even matter. We do pop the Zhonya's from Uniboy, but Fisher's here to clean up. Woody finding himself really deep there, trying to get some vision potentially, but Baron had already been taken. It is actually okay, though. We take out the 2 members of the team with that Baron, but unfortunately, once Betty gets in here, the damage is pretty crazy, and it's hard to beat on this Ezreal, who can just aggressively arcane shift in with not a fear or a threat in the world.
That's exactly what you want from your late game Ezreal, as we do see GZ claim that Drake as we come back to live. You want those arcane shifts to be forward, you want those arcane shifts to be aggressive, and you want that true shot barrage to hit Momo in the top lane so that it gives Izhang on the Anivia a little bit more health advantages. He is just on point, he is sniping everybody here, and look at that damage.
Oh.
The mid laner and bot laner here, Uniboy and Betty on fire in these fights. Kaiwing, though, he needs to be careful. He's already down to 50% health. Husha trying to scare Woody away, will hit him with the Quill. It's a fight for vision control. It's a fight for priority and advantage, because what's up in a minute and a half?
Yeah, we do have that Baron coming in, and obviously GZ want to take it and take the match. I mean, you want to talk about how we've got that offensive power now on GZ. I want to talk about how they've got the defensive power. Kaiwing's picked up the Knight's Vow, but more importantly, Izhang's picked up the second Zhonya's. We've got 2 Zhonya's on GZ's side, which means how big burst engages that DFM want to look for is going to be so difficult when every single member has these defensive tools available to them. And it just makes these team fights so much more difficult for where DFM want to look. But they still have potential in this game. They're not counted out at all. Yes, there's a 4.5k gold advantage. Yes, Baron is up in 45 seconds. But one pick, like here, could make everything.
They're on to Betty. The call of the pack is brought in. Betty caught up, but GZ respond. Husha, Cataclysm's in. Citrus forced over the wall. They take out the jungler. It's now 5v4. Uniboy in that mid lane, hurting DFM in. And Scatter the Weak onto Husha. Husha goes down, but Kakun will pay with his life. Kaiwing is on him. Izhang there as well. It's a 2-for-1 so far. GZ with the advantage. They will herd DFM down and out of this fight, but what started DFM favored ended in GZ's advantage, and GZ, it doesn't look like they're done with them yet. Poking, chipping. Betty, arcane shifting forward, does get a good mystic shot onto Fisher, but I just don't think it's going to be enough here.
Locket is available for Kaiwing. He's got the defensive stats of the Knight's Vow, but I've got to point out, in that last little fight, we had the Ezreal use the flash and the exhaust, which means he's not going to have it for this Baron. The only problem is, with that little trade, GZ have full control. With this little fight, GZ have full control of the Baron pit. They're going to have the vision prio. Look at Betty just getting over that wall so safe. Now it will be a fight for Baron, and it's going to be so difficult for DFM to possibly contest this in any lights.
Yeah, GZ are looking really, really strong. They've had enough time to scale. It is 30 minutes into this game, and like you said earlier, once it gets past that 25-minute mark, you just don't see a way in for DFM, and it feels like that's playing out as that true shot barrage just takes out a full
100%
wave.
accuracy?
Yeah, something like that. Kakun lost 25% of his health, so he just keeps expanding this damage lead that he has over everybody else. They have priority, they have control. The Baron is up. GZ, they want to close it out and win here.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be the Baron for the game if GZ get it. That's for certain. And Betty is so hard to kill with that Maw now, so the eyes are actually going to be on Citrus. It really is going to be Citrus's job getting onto Betty as another two-shot barrage clips this dog. Fight is going to start soon, though. They can't get it.
Citrus already low. Kakun getting poked down by Uniboy. Izhang, though, trying to frontline, is melting in the damage. Oh, Woody gets a good angle, but it is not enough. Husha gets it. Citrus is dead. Uniboy on the chase. Husha cataclysms onto Woody, and then Kakun and Fisher are on the retreat. Momo wasn't even there for that fight. He was just pushing up the bot lane. What is he doing? He had his TP. He could have committed to that fight. DFM, they went into a 4v5 on the Baron. They lost the fight. They lost 2 members. And now, GZ looks like they want to end this one here and now.
Yeah, they're bashing on the castle doors, and I honestly am a little bit confused of why we attempted to fight that if our top laner was pushing that bot lane. Maybe a miscommunication.
Betty on the Kakun. Kakun's going low. Betty, though, gets high shock blast. Uniboy goes golden just to stay safe a little while longer. DFM, they are defending in the face of 4 members of GZ. I think they just wanted to push in. They get the inhibitor turret. They get the inhibitor as Ejung has this bot side priority, this lane pressure here that DFM are forced to respond to. And you take a look, GZ, they are in retreat. They got their advantages. You look at that Baron power play, Leo, they've still got another minute and a half plus left to go.
Yeah, and they've gotten so much gold from it already. We're looking at an 8k gold lead for GZ. And a big chunk of that is straight on Betty. 3.4k gold ahead on this Ezreal. We've got the Maw. We have the Endless Hunger. We're on our way to our next item. He is such a threat, but a real item that I want to point out is the GA on Husha, who now has the ability to make some real risky plays, specifically with that Cataclysm, and just change the game completely. We can really take a look at this fight, and I mean, obviously, this is how that fight is playing out, but take a look right at this time. Momo is bot lane, just clearing the wave, and the fight looks so bad for DFM, who's allowed to just control and could create so much space with Uniboy's Rabadons as well. It needs to be a collection for DFM to bring it back.
Yeah, Husha here is chasing Woody. Woody needs to be very careful, though. Woody in the back lines, the quickness onto Betty. Betty's caught up. Husha goes in with the Cataclysm. Whoa. Betty's dead. Fisher found the angle. GZ, though, they're getting run down. Citrus onto Husha. Husha goes down, but it's only the GA. Uniboy still in the area. Will not be enough. DFM, they still have 4 members. Husha trying to get Citrus, and he goes down here. Uniboy on the run. He's TPing. He's trying to get out of here. They're trying to get the damage. He gets away. Great TP, cheeky in the faces of DFM. Sorry to cut you off as you were breaking down the previous replay.
No, you never have to apologize, Logan, for a play like that. I mean, it's actually a brilliant recapture, and we can break it down right now. Look at the flank that Woody has here. And look, we get a push in on the bot tier 2. Husha seems to be sort of chasing Woody by himself, but all it means is Woody's actually allowed to sort of route. And so DFM is just waiting, biding their time for this beautiful flank from Woody coming in, catching Betty. And just like I said, Citrus is there to do enough AD damage that the execution from Locke's Purgatory can clean up the rest. Fisher cleans up the Anivia bot side, and then it's just all she wrote for this team fight. It's a good last-ditch effort from Uniboy to TP away, and he does get away, saving the rest. I think 20 seconds left on that Baron, and at least keeping his life intact. At the end of the day, though, GZ's still got that dragon. They are on that soul point. But it's a nice little recapture, and that huge gold lead, which was around 6k, has gone down to 2.5k for GZ. And now, Fisher once again back in the driver's seat. That Rabadon's is up. That Rabadon's damage is there.
Oh, they found an angle onto Woody, though. Woody's just dead. Husha, Cataclysm's in. GZ, they have the advantage. Oh, that True Shot Barrage doing so much damage. DFM, they are in full retreat as the Chaos Storm pushing them away. Momo, though, he's on this bot side again. I mean, he's got to make a decision here as he tries to get this tower. He loves this bot side, but he does have TP up here. GZ, they are on DFM's top side. Momo pushes in the wave. Ejung forced to respond. Nothing happening. They're just getting priority.
Yeah, I mean, 1 minute 30 till this Baron. And vision control can be confirmed by DFM. A really big point that I want to point out is in that last fight, it used up Husha's Guardian Angel, which means he's not going to have that in the Baron. He's not going to have that in this Dragon, which is in 2 minutes. So there is a real chance that DFM can just sweep a fight if they can find a pick. And that pick is going to be captured by either Woody or Kakun's beautiful Scatter the Weak. And if they can confirm one of that, they can take the Baron and they can wreck back control in this game. It's all going to be found right here, though, in this Baron.
Yeah, but counter to that, I mean, Woody on this Rakan has been having some absolutely banger quicknesses. Like that previous fight on the bot side, he was able to get 3 members of GZ and set DFM up for success. Ejung does not have that passive now, so he doesn't have that layer of security, but he does have that spell shield, so a little bit more survivable into those accelerated shock blasts of Jace. 2 Rabadon's death caps, 2 Shadow Flames on the side of DFM. That is a lot of AP damage as both teams, they're vying for control of this mid lane. That Baron only 20 seconds away here. DFM, they know what's up because the Drake following closely behind.
This is the problem, though. GZ have so much access to control over the map. You need a flank, you need a surprise angle, or these guys are just going to squeeze the life out of you. And we're going to see it right here as more and more poke coming in from that Victor.
Yeah, Uniboy trying to get a good angle. Momo just trying to get some shock blast, trying to soften up the front line of GZ. It keeps hitting Kaiwing, though. He's happy to take it for the moment. DFM, they do have the advantage in this mid lane. They're going to clear this wave. I mean, not the worst shock blast in the world. Did maybe 10% of Uniboy's health here, but DFM right now, they're in advantage. They have control. They could go for the Drake. They could go for the Baron. But not if GZ force them to decide. If GZ start this Baron up, DFM will be dragged into them.
Very little vision control on that Baron. They've got to pretty much face check it.
Oh.
A true shot, bro.
Oh, topside, Momo has found Kaiwing. Kaiwing gets the taunt. The follow-up is there. Husha goes over the wall. They're turning to fight. Woody, again with the quickness on. Citrus goes in there. Izhang, 50% health. Caught on the bot side here. Cataclysm onto Momo. Momo will die, but he gets the GA on the bot side. Betty against the world. Good scatter there from Karkun. Able to stun Betty up, preventing any follow-up. Uniboy chasing Citrus out. 3-on-1. Karkun dies. Betty's got a triple kill. Uniboy chasing Citrus. He goes gold in the True Shot Barrage. Just misses, but the Death Flame Torch, he could burn down. Citrus on the wrong side of the rift here. GZ don't care. They're marching on the base of DFM. They're just trying to keep Citrus away. Betty on the inhibitor here. 4 members of GZ. They will try and end it. Citrus dies. Uniboy found him. GZ are free to take game 1 against DFM, getting themselves a good advantage.
An amazing performance from GZ there, controlling that Baron pit, controlling that game, and controlling their way to the first victory. An effective one at that. Betty, I want to point out Betty performing so much, clipping every single member with those true shot barrages. Every single fight that DFM started, they were half health. This Victor Hextech Ray, the Anivia poke. It was the battle of the control mages and the strength of those control mages that saw GZ come out on top in a real stunning game 1 delivery.
Yeah, but I think I've got a new nickname for Betty on that Ezreal. That man is Betty the Sniper. I don't think he missed a single true shot barrage. And in that late game, he was doing 20, 30% of people's health bars. You never went into a single one of these fights, as you said, at 100% health. I liked this game. I liked what we saw. That 0-3 into 3-3 kills in that early game. GZ got the advantage, but DFM turned it back around. DFM, it feels like they've got those signs of life. They're not going to let GZ steamroll them that easily here in the LCP, and you love to see it. It's like they've grown, they've matured, they're escalating.
I agree completely. I think, a lot of people came into this thinking Ground Zero were going to sweep, but that game was close. It really was. There was so much pushback from DFM there. There were chances of victory, and it honestly was up to the individual players like Betty just perfectly outplaying those engages, perfectly getting those snipes just in order to just make it so difficult for DFM. But the next couple games that are coming, Logan, I really don't think they're going to be sweeps. I think they're going to be this close, and I really do think there's a good chance of DFM honing in on their problems that they had during that game, cleaning those up, and maybe taking a game.
Yeah, as we do start to take a look at these replays, I really like the engages out of Kaiwing, those fantastic E-taunts that Shen is so famous for. Betty was just able to plug away so safely in the back lines because of the front line of GZ, because of that Shen, because of that J4. And I mean, Husha was just always finding high value cataclysms, whether it was to gap close, whether it was to lock people down, as we do see this first 0-3 fight. and it was consistent across the rift. Even with Fisher on that lock getting such a strong early game advantage, he still wilted away in the face of GZ's synergy.
Yeah, and I think that was a big part of the itemization from GZ. There was a lot of magic resist coming out, and it just ensured that, you know, even combined with the Syndra's damage, this lock couldn't take their lead and put that into the rest of the game. I mean, he just found himself unable to engage or find angles of engagement. And honestly, we have to give a big shout out to Woody. This one particularly, but also one I'm sure we're going to see a little bit later, is that flank angle. Woody allowed for so many moments of recapturing this game for DFM. A real good performance, specifically just from these Rakan engages and flanks. And that allowed that lock, that allowed Fisher to find more angles. But yeah, I really do think Betty coming in with so much, the Knight's Vow available, the Shen shielding, Arcane Shift, the Exhaust, the Flash. It was so difficult to get onto this Ezreal to take out that high priority target. And every other target you wanted to find had a Sonya's on them. So it was just so hard to make a choice for DFM. But they still played it well either way.
Yeah, and here's that flank you were talking about. Woody gets onto Betty, onto Uniboy, hand onto E'Jung, who sets them up for Karkun, who's just able to scatter onto 2. And the rest of DFM collapse on the top side, taking out Husha, that GA. The thing is, there were signs of life from DFM throughout the entire game, which you love to see, because in those late games, the gold diff of like 2-3k, it's nearly negligible, and it all comes down to that hands diff. Sometimes GZ, I think they just had that killer instinct a little bit more. They were willing to pull the trigger. They identified the fights that they could take a bit more comfortably, and that set them up for successes. We just saw Karkun trying to take that TP to save himself, and it just was not enough. He was going to go down there. But Leo, do you have any final thoughts about this game 1 between DFM and GZ?
I mean, if anyone came into this thinking it was going to be, you know, a sweep, it was going to be a stomp, I think this game in particular has shown you that the next coming games, they are going to be pretty nasty, and they're going to be close as anything. So I'm sure they're going to want to stay tuned for these coming games, Logan.
You are so right, Leo. But that is all from us here for game 1. Make sure you stick around, because we'll be here for game 2 right after this break, because here in the LCP, we're made for this.
Seems like everyone knows how to jungle these days. But do you remember these guys? They're back, along with the rest of the original Rift. If you want to survive in the land between lanes, here are the 5 things you gotta know about jungling in League Classic. Start the game with the Hunter's Machete. Trust us, you're gonna need it out there. And see these? Health potions. If you don't want to die, you better buy. The Classic jungle is a lot deadlier than the one you might know today. You'll need to play smart to survive. That's why you should always ask your teammates to leash the first camp. This is an ancient and honorable ritual where your buddy in the nearest lane takes a quick detour to damage the monsters after you pull their attention. Remember, the sooner you clear, the sooner they get a gank. You'll also need to plan your jungle route carefully and keep an eye out. Jungle camps respawn much faster in Classic. If you want to maximize your EXP, you better BRB after ganking your backing. When you're ready to recall, buy an upgraded jungle item first to keep those clears going strong. Madrid's Razors or Spirit Stone are both good options, and you can keep upgrading from there. You'll be a roaming menace in no time. Finally, you'll need to make the most of your mana, as it does not regenerate nearly as fast in Classic. Optimizing your ability rotation and not wasting cooldowns on nearly dead monsters will noticeably impact your clear speed and ganks. And separate the good junglers from the great ones. Now get moving. Red buff is up, and that Lizard Elder ain't gonna slay itself.
Here we go, Dustin.
Itai, the 1v1 Itai comes out on top. They have to. Here comes the hero's entrance. They have the...
Các chào chứ nó dễ lắm ha.
And we are back, and we're getting ready for Game 2 of tonight's Best of 5 series, Larry. That was a close Game 1.
Oh man, it was a crazy Game 1, and we're already gonna get into Game 2 draft. I'm so excited, Logan. I really am, because I really do think that DFM could potentially squeak out a win here. I mean, we saw some really good plays from them. And of course, this is Fearless, so some of those priority picks are going to be taken away. We might start to get even weirder drafts than we've seen so far. Are there any picks that you're looking forward to in this Game 2 that could potentially pop up?
Yeah, so we already saw the Nefurian J4 in that jungle. Last night, we actually saw like a Yasuo Lee Sin in the bot lane. I would like to see a Lee Sin picked up, just not as an AD carry. So I think that could be a potential thing here. I would like to see us avoid mages in that bot lane. I would just love very traditional AD carries. We've seen the Syndra, so the likelihood of mages in that bot lane decreases significantly. I want to see a Pantheon. I'm just such a fan of the global pressure a Pantheon can apply, but not in an oppressive way like Nocturne. You can actually kind of respond to what a Pantheon puts down.
Yeah, you've got a bit of time on that, the spear coming down. You've got a bit of time to react compared to just the instant there's a Nocturne on you. I would love to see a more, it's one of my favorite draft comps that you don't actually see too often, and it's where a full sort of globalization, the global ults, you've got like a TF in the mid lane, a Pantheon jungle, potentially like a Shen support, and it's just like we have access to the whole map. Of course, we won't be seeing that Shen, but I would love to see something like a Pantheon. I really want to point this out that I'd love to see a more aggressive top lane from Momo. Now, we got that Jace, and I don't think that Jace in the first game, Momo didn't get a real light to shine. There wasn't a major moment where we saw this Jace come into play. I mean, you compared the poke of the Jace compared to the Ezreal's just ultimates, and they're very different, that's for sure. So I'm really hoping to see him maybe on something aggressive like an Ambessa, something to just take control, wrest control, and get in there. So I'm hoping for a comp that really builds around allowing Momo to play some of these fights.
Yeah, look, I think we have a lot of hope to see a lot of champions here on the Rift, and if we go to 5 games, I think we might just get every single one of those wishes. I do want to shout, though, that, like, the top lane was quiet through that laning phase, and then once we got to the team fights, I do think Ijong had more of an impact generally, but Momo, he had some good flank angles. He found some fights where he was able to take Husha out and punish him. He was kind of softening up the front line of GZ before the engage happened, but if you're a Jace top lane, you're never going to outpoke that Ezreal that Betty was piloting that was so accelerated, that topped the damage meters. Like, it's just not a fair fight, you know?
Yeah, it is really hard to sort of compare the two. That is fair. I want to point out, and it just sort of is pinging in my mind, I wanted to talk about a bit, was actually the use of the Hextech gates in that couple dragon fights. It's rare that you see teams utilize the Hextech gates to an amazing point. Now, I did see Kakun use them and then sort of have to flash away, but Momo did get a nice little flank and forced Betty to E-shift away preemptively. But we're not going to see that, but maybe we will as we get into the drafts. Already taken away the Cassiopeia.
Yeah, but one thing that I do really want to call out while everybody's tuned in and watching, we need to shout out Betty. He has now played 100 games in the LCP. Quite the veteran here, I think. Yeah, woo, Betty! But yeah, 3 cheers, hip hip hooray! But we are here in the draft as we do see that Lucian and Orianna banned away. They're trying to prevent the GOAT Betty from getting one of his stronger picks, and they don't want Uniboy on that Orianna, but I'm kind of surprised they're not banning away that Ahri as well. Like you said, on your previous cast, Uniboy on the Ahri was just making things happen.
Yeah, you're leaving yourself open to a very solid pick on a very solid player. And now your bans aren't targeted. This is what I'm noticing. I mean, if you take a look at GZ bans, they're taking out the Cassiopeia. So Kako doesn't have his Cassiopeia. Taking out the Vayne, but specifically on the other side, we've got DFM. They're taking out the Gnar, the Orianna, the Lucian. They're going for a more rounded approach. And yeah, I think that does leave yourself open to some of these amazing players like Uniboy potentially taking a comfortable pick and taking out the game. But here's your Lee Sin you wanted so badly, and it's for GZ.
Yeah, that's the thing. I really liked that Vayne ban coming through. I wanted to talk about that one when I saw it because it screamed they wanted Gnar for Ijong. But was it bait? Because DFM, when you see a Vayne ban and you've still got a ban open, you take away that Gnar because it's that sort of counter matchup, right? So did GZ just outdraft DFM and bait them into using one of their bans on the Gnar? Or was it all part of GZ's, DFM's plan and they responded well? We will find out, obviously, eventually here. But yeah, that Lee Sin picked up. I'm surprised Lee Sin got through so early. This is only game 2. But Rumble locked in for Momo. I like this pick, Leo, for Momo. It's a safer pick. I've seen Momo be a bit more comfortable, do a couple of more things, have a bit more impact on this Rumble pick.
Yeah, I mean, that access to the equalizer, you know, I always find it sort of interesting how Rumble plays. It can be played as this super aggressive, controlling pick. You know, you're in the front line, flame spitting, hitting those rockets, shielding and everything. But you can also play it a little bit more reserved, a safe top lane, a scaling top lane arranged at range there. And then with access to that equalizer, you can impact team fights without actually having to be in the team fight wholeheartedly. And it's something that is a little bit similar to Jason. I'm interested to see how it plays out, but we will be getting the Rise. Uniboy's Rise, a very cohesive pick. And something that Pike told me is in the LCP, Realm Warps aren't too popular. I still think it's such a crazy ultimate ability, and I still love to see it come into play.
Yeah, I do like a good Realm Warp. We've seen D-Ray pilot this Rise very, very effectively, but this is GZ tonight, so we'll be keen to see how Uniboy wants to play around with that one. Ambessa emerging as such a classic response to this Rumble. Casante's kind of fallen out of vogue here, so that Ambessa also provides that backline engage, that dive tool. Lee Sin able to follow up, keeping Rise safe. So already GZ putting together a bit of a front line to keep that Rise safe as he scales up over the game. I liked the hover coming out of Detonation Focus Me. They had that Ari. They were considering locking it in for Fisher. I think they should have gone with it, to be honest, because it would have robbed Uniboy of that in a future game as well. And I would contend that every AD every mid laner should have a good Ari in their back pocket, but and pair it with the Vi. Like, they had the opportunity to grab the Ari, pair it with the Vi, and have that guaranteed engage, but instead Fisher picks up the Yone.
Yeah, I really have to agree with you here, Logan. It's not that I'm not loving the Yone, but the Ari is just, I feel so much stronger. And yeah, it has the double edge of you can steal it away from Uniboy for future games, but it also just pairs better with the Rumble, with the Vi. And it's a rough pick into the Ambessa. It isn't great into the Rise. It seems a little bit strange, and I'm interested to see how Fisher pilots it. And now you're going to get a bit of utility from a Jhin ADC. Now, this isn't an APC, which is Hakun's one of his more preferred picks. So I'm interested to see what support is paired with the likes of a Jhin.
Yeah, I think potentially a Karma, or maybe they're going to go for the roaming supports and just leave Jhin alone. We have seen that happen in the past. You take a look at the bans, and not many supports have been taken away here, but I do like Mel. The thing with Mel is she can kind of flex that mid or bot, but they have clearly just locked in the bot side, and I love the Leona pickup as well, because Leona is a fantastic sort of counter pick into the Mel as a support. Her Zenith Blade, it actually pulls Mel towards you, so it pulls you further from safety. It's kind of a crazy interaction that I personally love in my solo queue games.
We'll be picking up, to counter the Leona, we'll be picking up an Alistar. Gonna give access to a little bit of peel for this Jhin. But I've got to say, GZ's comp is looking really powerful. Really powerful. Unless we get a Renata instead, I still think an Alistar is the safer bet, and it's going to be the Alistar. But yeah, GZ's comp overall looking so strong. You've got access in every lane to a nice form of slows or CCs for this Lee Sin to get ahead early, to gank early. And I really think the target might be this Yone. I know it's a bit of a strange call out here, but I think Fisher is going to find himself the target of a lot of ganks. I think Kaiwing's going to, contribute to a lot of roams. And I think Husha is going to really be focusing down this Yone, because if this Yone gets behind, Fisher's going to have a hard time clawing his way back into a game that Yone just cannot engage into. None of these champs are really great at just, soul unbound and getting in there.
Yeah, but one of the things that I do want to call out as well is that I don't think Yone's the kind of worst pairing with that Vi. We were talking about, you had the opportunity to grab the Ari, to pair it with the Vi, to rob it from your counterpart, but obviously when Vi goes in with that ultimate, it buys time for the Fate Sealed from Yone as well to land, right? It's about the timing, it's about the spacing. So I kind of like both compositions. I really do think they both have opportunity. They both have answers into each other. You take a look at DFM's composition, though. They have 4 frontliners and 1 Jhin. You take a look at GZ's, they've got 3 frontliners and a Mel and a Rise. So it's going to create a little bit of inequality, if I can use that word here, in frontlines.
Yeah, it certainly will. I really like, I want to sort of put a bit of a focus on Woody here, who's chosen the Alistair, of course. And it's a less aggressive pick. It's a little bit less aggressive and more focused on peel. And this is going to show the potential of Woody, who usually picks up, the Rel, who usually picks up, honestly, the Shen and the Leona. And instead of this aggressive pick focusing more on a peel angle, I'm interested to see how well this player can pilot such a different play style. Of course, you still have access to, to engage and everything for this Alistar, but keeping this Jhin alive is going to be a big task, and it's onto this Moo Cow to keep him in check.
I remember one game that me and Pike were casting many, many moons ago where they had basically, I think it was like 7 or 8 kind of animal, if you will, champions on the Rift. There was like Nico, there was Nidalee, there was Alistair, there was Nefiri, and we were talking about how the whole farm was on Summoner's Rift, so it was really good. And you love to see when Alistair does have that Moo Cow skin here. This is exactly what I expected. Uniboy on the rise, getting that sort of early advantage, the classic range into melee, but chosen of the Wolf Ambessa skin, locked in for Izhang. Arguably the best skin for Ambessa.
Oh, absolutely. I have to agree. But talking of best skins, the Pirate Rise. I actually went as Pirate Rise for a Halloween party. I will die on the hill. I can do the Rise dance. It's my favorite skin in the game. I really think it's got some charisma to it. It's got some personality to it. And I've got to say, the Rise picking up the exhaust is going to be pivotal in this game.
Yeah, it's unusual, right? It's a good call because normally you see Rises go with that Ghost, but I like the idea of the exhaust. It's going to prevent a lot of what Fisher is trying to do with those Soul Unbounds and chase you down. Any follow-ups with those Fate Seals. Zizhan getting a good trade onto Momo here. And we take a look at that vision control across the Rift. There's only a little bit down. It is early stages, and Citrus already taking that recall. Both junglers in their top side. So they're kind of mirroring one another here in these early stages. But I'll be looking to Kaiwing to make plays happen onto Karkun, Leo. I want these Zenith Blades to be used the moment they're off cooldown. Let's go. This is the LCP. Get aggressive.
Let there be blood, but honestly, you want to see Kaiwing do that. I want to see Woody push away this Leona every time. I don't want to see one stun land, which means it's going to be up to both these. Oh, there we go. One Zenith Blade out, but it's a miss. So I'm going to keep track of each one to miss, but it's up to both junglers to see if they can impact this bot lane, because I honestly think that's where Husha's going to want to look. There's something I really want to point out, and I actually love this from GZ, and I only really noticed it now. They've put DFM in an impossible situation where the GZ comp is so countered by a singular item, by the Serpent's Fang. Because Rise is going to go that Seraph shield, you've got the Lee Sin shielding, Izhang's obviously going to pick up the Eclipse, and there's no possible pickup for DFM to pick up that Serpent's Fang. Vi can build it, but doesn't really want to. Kakun can build it, but obviously doesn't want to. And Yone doesn't really want to build it either. So it's this nice little position that GZ find themselves in at a bit of an overall game itemization advantage.
Yeah, and sometimes it's those small nuances, that sort of metagaming that you can do that buys you those advantages and takes you those wins. And speaking of advantages, Izhang with the 40 CS in that top side has eked out, a little bit of a gold lead here at 4.5 minutes. A couple of objectives coming up, and the bot side, though, not faring as well here. That range from the Mel Q poke, that Solar Snare on the E, it just does so much work. It makes a Melee's life nearly impossible. But Leo, we have objectives coming up. Who do you want to see get to it first?
Okay, listen, I think DFM... Oh, the public execution That is so aggressive from Ijang there, especially with Citrus nearby, but missing that means your main CC tool is down for top lane. Might be a bit tricky, but yes, let's speak about objectives because, I mean, it really is a point that DFM want to pick up these Drakes when you have the likes of, the Vice Cease and Desist and the Yone, the Soul Unbound, or I always trip myself up. I say Yone, but I think it's Yone A. You need that extra damage, so picking up an early Demonic Drake or Infernal Soul would be great. There is a game.
Ooh, Fisher might be caught out here. There's 2 GZ in the mid. Citrus in the area to repel Husha, just getting a little bit of damage. I don't think much more will come of this as the Sonic Wave misses. They will just disengage. But DFM, they have the priority here. GZ responding.
Messy, it's around this river. And he's got the poke, but without items early, that lost chapter isn't enough to really threaten Raccoon's need for a back yet. We are going to get the Scuttle Prio, which is very important in controlling this early drag. And yeah, I mean, when you have 2 aggressive junglers like Elysian and Vi, it could go either way, but once you secure this Scuttle, it can be a very confirmed Drake, as ultimates do come online for a majority of the team here. And I think the ultimates, they do favor, I've got to say, they favor a Drake for GZ early. Sorry, the other way around, for DFM early, but if GZ can pick up that Drake before their ultimates are really threatening, it would be such a boon for them, and it looks like they're going to have that available to them.
Yeah, GZ just brought more members down earlier. They got the vision control. They zoned DFM away with their priority on that bot side lane, and they do take the first Drake of the game. It is that Infernal Drake, and now it's another 50 seconds for those Void Grubs. So Husha and Citrus both in a good position to get back out onto the Rift and contest for them. I really do think that DFM should be the ones to try and go for these Void Grubs to get themselves on the board with that jungle objective. As Momo returns to lane, he has picked up those boots that reduce that sort of physical damage from Ijang on that Embessa, who has that pickaxe, the Warhammer, and the Doran shield as they return to lane here. But I'll be looking at Betty. To get those solar snares. I'll be looking at Betty to hit those radiant volleys that just do so much damage. Because Mel has that sort of built-in execute with that golden eclipse too. Once enough stacks land, you can just die instantly. And it will be up to Kaiwing to protect him.
Yeah, I'm actually quite interested in sort of talking a little bit. I hope we get a bit of time to talk about this Mel pick, because it's an interesting one. Mel, for me, is... I know this isn't always the case, but I prefer it as a counter pick. You know, we see the Ashe Seraphine. You can pick the Mel. You can rebuttal any of those huge ultimates. But in this game, there isn't much to rebuttal. Especially in
the
this
flash
game.
engage there, the headbutt is good. Woody under the tower, tanking it up though. Great rebuttal. Betty lives for so long, but DFM Citrus, he gets away. Oh, 2 blinking health bars. Fate sealed from Fisher to get away. It's GZ across the rift here, but DFM make good on the bot side. It was funny, you were talking about Mel, and they ganked Mel.
Yeah, and I mean, this is the case of this Mel. Yes, okay, they do a lot of damage, but Mel, I feel, is a bit of a utility pick in stopping, you know, the ADC. It's a bit of a Xayah-like pick where you have options to block a dive like this, but there's nothing to rebuttal here. You can't rebuttal the cease and desist. The only actually thing besides the shield that it gives you, the only thing you could rebuttal there is the Jhin autos, and he saved the curtain call to the end, and so this is what I think we're going to see throughout the game, where maybe this Mel pickup is only primarily used for damage because its utility of being able to block a key ability isn't going to be finding much pressure here from DFM, because you can't block that equalizer, and once those rockets come down, that is a lot of damage onto a very squishy APC.
Yeah, it's definitely going to have to hold it for those curtain calls, as we did see Karkun actually pop that cleanse, because that Solar Snare from Mel did go on to 3. Like, that would have absolutely kept them out of range, slowed down, prevented a lot of damage, but it was well executed by DFM. Woody tanking up the initial turret shots, then Citrus, and it bought Karkun all the time he needed to get that first blood bonus as well, which is 10 minutes. It feels kind of crazy to say, and the gold here, it is even across the board. Some small gold advantages in the top side for GZ, some small gold advantages in the bot side for DFM. It just ultimately leads to an equitable situation for both teams. GZ, they have the 3 grubs and the first Drake of the game.
Very equitable indeed. And I do want to point out that both teams are a very heavy team fighting comp. They're both, you know, both teams comp require all 5 members to work. Public execution.
Ooh, Ijung, it's just a trade. Momo will be fine. Nobody else is here from GZ, but this is a sign of, good Zenith Blade. Kaiwing goes in. The Solar Flare lands onto Citrus. There's no follow-up just yet. DFM, though, they turn back on Fisher with the Fate Sealed. Hushard's low. Karkun raining Hellfire with the Curtain Call. Kaiwing just pops the E, is going to be able to walk that one out. From a GZ play, DFM are able to turn it around and get a kill back.
And that is on the back of Woody. If you saw, Husha landed the Sonic Wave, could not engage on that stunned individual there because there was a huge Alistar just waiting to peel him away. And this is the proficiency of this player. He can play engage, he can play peel as well. And I think this Alistar is going to be key because now Lee Sin has to be aware of these early engages with this Leona. Might not be as easy as finding as you'd think they would be because we have so much available peel to us. And that's going to be a great pickup for DFM.
Yeah, they're trying to get priority around this Drake. They're trying to prevent this blue buff going over to DFM. GZ sent 3, Zenith Blade. It has landed onto Woody. Woody just melts in the face of 3. The damage so strong. He couldn't even pop the Unbreakable Spirit because he'd already used it, that Unbreakable Will. So good pick. Great timing. Momo forced to equalize here to clear the wave so he doesn't die to Ijung. Look at how much CS Ijung is up.
Yeah, that's going to be a 30 CS lead, and he's forced to use these game-changing ultimates just to barely survive this lane. He hasn't given any, there hasn't been any actual kills, but it's still a real rough time, and this lead that Mbessa is growing is just going to grow more and more. And Mbessa is such a threat, especially now with this Eclipse online, that all of these trades are... Frankly, so here we can see, watch Woody here. Husha cannot engage. There's nothing he can do because Woody can just push him away right as we find ourselves. But unfortunately, this little fight costs Woody his Unbreakable Will, which leads to the catch out later, which of course makes it a little bit rough. They don't get Dragon from it, but they do get a little bit of prior over River. Doesn't seem to get anything in terms of actually collecting that Mountain Drake, but certainly gives back a lead with that kill.
Yeah, they definitely went even in. Yeah, they definitely went even in that trade. Once they got Woody, they got even on the gold. The Kindle Gem picked up by Woody there, but it is surprising that we came back to live and they hadn't secured that Mountain Drake, as we do see some red pings going down. And we take a quick look at the vision control across the rift. More of it is in GZ's favor, and you can tell with the vision score that Uniboy is putting down far more wards than Fisher is on that Yone. However, Fisher has completed that Blade of the Ruined King. GZ have priority over this Drake. They've got the vision, they've got the numbers. I have to imagine they're gonna secure this one here and now, and that is all 3 of the first jungle objectives here, Leo. GZ, they're starting strong, even if the gold isn't heavily in their favor. Oh, I thought Fisher had found an angle on a Uniboy there.
Yeah, I mean, they wanted to sort of maybe trade topside. I mean, ideally you look for a dive on this Rise. Okay, we get a little bit of jungle, but we need something else giving away this Dragon. Once again, I don't think the grubs are going to be overly important for what both comps want to do. There's not really a split pusher. But
good Sonic Wave there. He's not done. Ooh, all right. Okay, I thought something was brewing because like more members were there. Yeah. The Sonic Wave landed.
I do want to say as well, I mean, there was not a world where you can fight that dragon because Izhang, I think it's one of the biggest power spikes in the game. Once this Ambessa completes the Eclipse, they become such a threat. They do so much damage. They have so much survivability. This Scuttle for the Rift Herald. Gonna want to be fought. Goes over to GZ. Now, Ambessa isn't there, but has the TP available. And so, once again, there isn't really a world where DFM can look to contest this Rift Herald because the moment that Ambessa enters a fight, the other members of DFM don't have the items or damage yet to deal with this top laner.
Yeah, no, you're so right. With that Eclipse, with that Warhammer, able to trade effectively into Momo, 40 CS up, 1,000 gold up. Like, Izhang on this Ambessa is literally the sole gold lead of GZ, and it is so much that he is why GZ are ahead of DFM in that gold. So counter to Ambessa being so strong, if DFM are able to find a pick, if they are able to take Izhang out of a team fight, they will have so much advantage. Like, oh, good engage here from Citrus. The patience, the fate's sealed. That's 2-on-1. Uniboy will be dead before this TP even arrives. Good response from GZ though. Kaiwing in response gets a good stun on the Fisher. Fisher snaps back, but Izhang is here. Momo with the equalizer over the top. It's not going to be enough. Good soul snare on top of 2. As we do see Izhang in the backlines. Husha chasing out Woody. Momo and Citrus on the top side. Kaiwing left for dead. Betty getting those radiant volleys down. Momo trying to cut out the damage. Citrus escaping under the turret here. Woody will be too late. It's a routing GZ wipe DFM from the Rift.
That is insane, and I want to put all of that up to not collecting Uniboy, and the reason why is those upgraded Swifties. He was able to sprint away from the likes of the Vi and Fisher there, buying enough time for Kaiwing to come in with the heal, to come in with the locket, keep him alive, which just, of course, is a beautiful, beautiful timing for Izhang to come in with the TP and clean up the rest of the fight. And now with that fight, you're looking at a 4k gold lead, but that doesn't even mean anything because it's about to get a little bit higher. They collect a Herald as well. That's going to be a tower. Take a look at the speed on Uniboy. This is all on those Swifties, that flash, and Kaiwing with a beautiful collect. Look at Izhang's damage here. I mean, Fisher is dead in one single rotation. A nice catch-out solar snare from Betty. But it's all she wrote the moment that this Ambessa comes in the team fight. And now the question is, where are we going to use this Herald?
Back in live, they killed Izhang, but yeah, we're still taking a look at this replay here, and we will come back to a very, very dead Izhang. We were talking about how if DFM are able to find a kill onto that Ambessa, they should find themselves with a chance, but that was before GZ got 4-0 onto DFM, before they blew their gold lead out, as you said, from what was basically neutral to over 3k. And we will get to see this bot side one again. It's just Izhang trying to get this turret.
Level 14. It's 2 levels ahead of Momo. You need 4 members of DFM if you want to deal with him. And Fish picking up that shutdown is going to be good. And yeah, as you pointed out, something to mention. Okay, GZ has a 3k gold lead, but 2.2k of that is really on Izhang there. So if you want to make a move, if DFM want to make a move, it is while Izhang is down, because that is when they're most equal.
Momo, he's just, Husha takes him out. I didn't expect it. I was watching, I'm like, okay, the Rune Prison has landed, he's just chilling, but Uniboy absolutely pumped Momo under the turret. Momo doesn't have any MR, so that was just pure damage. He did well to try and clear the wave, but he's 50 CS down over Izhang. He's a whole level down. He's at such a disadvantage right now as GZ. They keep the push going. Karkun, he needs to be careful. It is still 2v1. The moment that tower breaks, if a sonic wave lands, if a solar snare lands, he will go down, but he plays it safely, he plays it carefully, and he will back away because the third Drake of the game is on the Rift.
It is up. They've cracked that mid-tier 1, which means there's so much opening around this dragon, and we can just realm warp right onto it, because there's no world in which you can contest this. Once again, if Izhang is here, it is so hard to lock him down, because you're gonna want to use that cease and desist on the Vi. You need to combo that with the Yone catch out as well. But there's other threats. I mean, Betty's finished their 2 items. They've got the rocket belt, they've got the Ludens. Uniboy, as we've seen, has a lot of actual, like, just movement, has a lot of speed, and has a lot of CC, utility, damage. There's a lot of threats that DFM are facing, and it's up to them. Once again, it's similar to last game, where they have to pick who they choose. They might choose
Izhang
Izhang.
under threat here, though. 4 members of DFM, 3 members of GZ have responded, though. They're melting Izhang, but he is surviving. He's lived far too long. GZ, they respond 4 on 4. Momo, dead. Citrus, dead. Woody is next. Husha finishes him off. They rout DFM again. GZ in amazing form as Karkorn is left to run. Only 2 members left here. What a disaster from DFM. I love the initiative, but they couldn't finish the job.
Watch this equalizer. Izhang sits in this equalizer the whole time. The Yone R lands, everything lands, and you still can't kill him. And you know why? Because we can't get through that Ambessa's shields. We don't have a Serpent's Fang. We don't have anything to build to get through this Ambessa. She's so tanky. She's 3k gold ahead. And now we're looking at a 7.3k gold lead for GZ, who have complete control over this game.
Yeah, they've got great vision. Woody finds an angle onto Uniboy, forces that flash. They're in retreat, but we came back to live and Fisher was dead again, Leo. Over on that bot side, it looked like 2 members of GZ had just found him and took him out. I think it was actually off the backside of that tower dive, but GZ, they are pressing their advantages. We go to this replay to see what happened. It was Fisher off the backside of the fight. He thought he was safe, gets that ward down. Oh dear.
Oh, Husha, just a nice little just walk around the corner gank. Something that he's been finding a lot throughout this game. Honestly, he hasn't been using many flanks, but hasn't needed any flanks because Kaiwing, Woody's got a, very good vision over the map, but he can't be everywhere. And we're getting some extends from some of these side laners that Husha is just capitalizing on and has built up not just a nice little 2k gold lead, but a couple bounties over on the entire team of GZ there on Husha, Uniboy, and Betty. Something I want to point out is that Fisher is still going to need this Yone.
Ooh, it looks like Woody might be caught here in their jungle. Hoosh is there, Kaiwing's there. I don't think much is going to come of it. They're just going to repel Woody. They did get and Flash. They got the Unbreakable Wheel and the Flash of the support of DFM. That is exactly what you want as you go in for the Baron. It will be on vision though. GZ, 5 healthy members, DFM, they have to respond, but there's only 4 of them. Fisher's on that bot side. He does have TP though. It's committed.
He's gonna use it.
Oh, the old Izhang over the wall. Backline dive. He goes down. It's a good equalizer from Momo to zone GZ away. Izhang punished for his aggression. It is all members of DFM though. The Sonic Wave lands. He kicks Woody into the back line. He follows it up. He gets Woody again. It's still not enough. He doesn't even have the Unbreakable Will, but on the bot side, Kaiwing, we see Betty able to shut down, take out Momo. Sonic Wave just misses. Zenith Blade misses. Fancy feet from Karkun here to live as long as he is the Rune Prison. Will get the job done. Husha goes godlike.
Oh my god, this Lee Sin, the triple kick into the members of DFM. It's a real sort of title of how this game has gone. Husha dominating this match. It was so aggressive from this aggression from Izhang to enter. This has 3 members of DFM here. He doesn't care. And honestly, he uses up so many tools. The equalizer just to zone him off, which yes, leaves GZ a little bit out of position there behind, but they can just wait for Momo Zonia's to end and take a look at this kick. Bum, bum, bum. 3 of them. A beautiful little flank from the Rise, forcing them to move up into the jungle instead against their turret. And something I also want to point out is Kakun has the tickle monster build. He's got this weakest Jin build with this Yomu's rapid fire cannon and a mortal reminder. He's not doing enough damage as we get into another
back
fight.
to live though. They found another angle. Mbessa's in the back line. Husha's in the front line. He has the chair. He can't die. Good kick. Kakun dies too early. Betty claims a double. The fight is over before it can even start. 4 members. DFM sent to the grey screen. Only Citrus alive, waiting to Vault Breaker over the wall. Thank you, observers, for pointing that charge up out.
Very interesting to see. We are going to get a replay of this fight. I mean, this was for Soul, but once again, Alistair forced to use his key ability, that Unbreakable Will, before every fight. Just means you're losing a key piece of the puzzle that you need to win anything here. And wow, we didn't actually get to see that blast cone in, but to blast cone to death, as then the rest of GZ are able to walk over DFM here. Ijung full health. They don't even proc his shield. Taking over the fight. That's going to be a free Drake because there are no summoners. There's no ultimates for DFM. It's not pretty as they are going to pick up that Chemtech Soul and get even tankier for the side of GZ.
Yeah, Woody waiting deep in the alcove as GZ, they will take their 4th Drake of the game. They will claim Chemtech Soul. So they're going to be that little bit harder to kill. They get the tenacity, the heal and shield power. They get the damage resistance as they use their Baron advantage. All 5 members sieging in a split push in the mid, in the bot. Kaiwing spots out Citrus on that Vi. Husha with the Sonic Wave onto Woody. It's okay. DFM have all of their ultimates. GZ, they have all of theirs. They do have a summoner advantage at the moment in their mid lane though.
Such a rough siege. Their D-push is so weak with this Jin. There's just no damage, no way to stop these cannons, and you either need to push the button or not, and that's what I think we see Citrus deciding. He's going to decide not to push the button, but if you don't push the button, they're just going to take every one of your towers. We have so much poke available through this Mel, and honestly, Ijung can just use that public execution whenever he wants and take away this game.
Solar Flare lands onto Momo. They dive onto Momo. The Realm Warp committed into the backside of the fight. DFM on the run. Momo with the equalizer. Momo is dead. The Fate Sealed goes wide here as Citrus tries to get something back onto Uniboy, and Bessa dives into the back line. There's that Fate Sealed to get out from Fisher. It's a messy fight, but GZ are coming out on top. They clear DFM. It's 4 for none. Karkun's in the base trying to pot shot and none will land. GZ, they look so good. They've taken the turrets. They're taking the Nexus. They take game 2 here against DFM.
An absolute sweep from GZ. A dominant game if I've ever seen one. Every member of GZ looking on form, looking on point, and that is gonna be the second point, their second win. I mean, every member, particularly Ijung on this Ambessa, such a threat. I mean, we saw him on the Anivia, the polar opposites of this Ambessa champion, but he can pilot both. He can use both, and he could be such a threat on both. But honestly, speaking of threats, we got to talk about Husha. This Lee Sin, everywhere on the map like a massive octopus, a tentacle in every lane, taking control and swifting and swiveling through each angle. Every objective picked up, every early objective. They didn't drop one objective, Logan.
Yep, absolutely they did not. I mean, we saw Husha go godlike even on that Lee Sin, so just spectacular performance there. It's what you want out of your jungler, that early aggression, the gold lead, astronomical by the end of that game. It was just GZ's game, and they find themselves on match point. We are on the precipice of a potential 3-0 clean sweep. DFM, they need to dig deep. They need to rally and find some kind of response against GZ. They need to find the magic that they had in that early game 1 where they looked like they were competing all the way through. So I imagine this coach comms that's happening right now with Paz will help them. They're probably going to pick which draft they want to go for, what style of fighting they want to do, whether they play slowly, try and scale up, play defensively, or whether they want to try and counter GZ's aggression with their own Leo. But that game too, she was a shellacking, mate.
She really was. I mean, from the start, and as we can see some of these replays, it didn't look that bad. Honestly, like, this dive was nice and clean. We don't trade anyone. We play into that Mel brilliantly. But honestly, I think this was the turning point. I want to put it on the back of the Swifties. Getting away, enough move speed, not tanking one more auto from that Vi, allowed the rest of GZ to come, collect, clean up. And from then, it was just open house for GZ. And yeah, I mean, from that first game, we had DFM play that more explosive, I'd argue a more early game comp. And in this one, they played a more mid game. We had that Yone, we had Rumble, we had Vi. Yes, we can take over early, but our heyday is in the mid game. And we just never saw that come to light. So in this next game, they're really going to need to push and look for a different angle because these first two weren't working. And I think a big reason for that wasn't from any fault of DFM. It was just solely on the fact of GZ's ability to adapt. They played these team fights. They know how to play around their key players. I mean, Ijung was practically bait on a juicy hook. And right here, you can see baiting in 3 members, cleaning up 3 kills. And that's a real sign of team cohesion. GZ on point, on form. Once again, bringing in Ijang, as we can see in this clip, Ijang going in by themselves, but all it does is lead the rest of DFM out of position and in the perfect position for Husha to take advantage. This is a beautiful shot right here. 1, 2, 3. Procking the shield bow on Yone, which doesn't even get a chance to shine, by the way. And Bessa had the Serpent's Fang. Crazy game, crazy performance. GZ looking so strong coming into this third game.
Yeah, GZ being consistent here as well. They were able to scale up over that game 1 and take it. And then Woody, that was a fantastic thing there as we get the TP committed. Husha with the angle. But it was just great team fights from GZ. Every single team fight, they were initiating. Every single team fight, there was more of them. And I want to call out Kaiwing as well. He had a spectacular game 1. And whilst this game 2 wasn't as massive, which you wouldn't expect from a Leona, he still did his job. He solar flared to initiate this game-ending fight. He was popping his Qs, he was popping his Es, he was getting those micro CCs to lock DFM down here, Leo. But I asked in game 1 and I'll ask here again in game 2, do you have any final thoughts about that one before we start looking forward to game 3?
Listen, I know GZ are looking on point, but as we saw, listen, as we saw in that first game, DFM, don't count them out. They can absolutely adapt, they can evolve, they can come back. So I don't think this series is over just yet.
Yeah, by no means is this series over. We had signs of hope, signs of life from DFM in game 1. If they are able to bring that back together for game 3, we will have a series on our hands. But that is enough from us here in the LCP for game 2. We'll be right back after this break.
Baron Nashor may be the strongest monster on Summoner's Rift, but he's got nothing on the true boss of League Classic, Runes and Masteries. Runes and Masteries can feel like a lot, but don't worry, we're here to help you get started.
All in good time.
Let's start with Masteries. Masteries have 3 different trees: offense, defense, and utility. You have to spend a certain number of points in a tree to move down to the next tier. The farther down you go, the stronger the bonuses. You'll start with a 10-10-10 Masteries page that aims to do a little bit of everything. But once you unlock the ability to make your own pages, it's best to invest more deeply on a single tree to get the most bonuses. You should probably aim for 21 points in your primary tree and 9 points in your secondary. Now for runes. There are 4 types of runes: red marks, yellow seals, blue glyphs, and golden quintessences. These runes all boost a variety of stats, but if you want to be efficient, you'll want to pick the right type of rune for the right stat. Marks are best at dealing physical damage and magic pen. Seals boost your armor, health, and mana regen, and glyphs are best for ability power, cooldown reduction, and magic resist. Quints are particularly powerful. You only get 3 of them, and the effects they provide can be game-changing. Beyond boosts to typical stats, Quints are also the only way to improve stats like experience gain, and even the amount of time it takes to respawn after you die. But you don't need that last one, right? You got this. This is a lot to take in at once, but don't worry. You'll have some time to figure out what's best for your playstyle. Much like Masteries, you'll start with a basic rune page that you can improve over time. You'll unlock rune slots as you play, and can purchase runes from the shop using IP, so you can get exactly what you need to rule the Rift.
Right, here we go, Dustin.
Itai, the 1v1, Itai comes out on top.
They have to. Here comes the hero's entrance. They have the
CFO will wipe the floor with Team Secret Wales. They'll be our first LCP champion.
Thì tụi em sẽ tới đó và chứng minh.
Welcome back to the LCP. We find ourselves at Game 3 with GZ on match point, Leo.
Oh my god. I mean, after that second game, I know people are gonna think this might be a GZ sweep, But come on, I really do think it's not going to be that easy. I don't think it's going to be that easy for him.
Yeah, look, the LJL's DFM, they're still in fantastic spirits. It still smiles and laughs abound here across the entire team. So when you have that mental fortitude, I really do think that the window for you to come back into these games, these series, is still very much wide open. And sometimes it just takes one team fight, right? You just need to win one team fight convincingly, and you can run straight down mid and win from there. We've seen it before, and we will see it again, so why not DFM?
I think you're dead on the money. I think mental, people talk about macro, the 3 M's. I think they only talk about 2 M's, but the 3 M's of League, macro, micro, and mental. Keeping good mental, keeping in check a calm, a collected, a positive attitude towards these games are so important. And if DFM have got that, they have every chance of taking out a game against GZ. And the chance gets a little bit more in their favor as this Fearless is going to go into game 3 here. So there's a lot of picks taken off the board. And a pick I want to talk about, Logan, which I think we're going to see pick or ban, that Ari. We didn't see it get taken away in that second game, but I'm sure it's going to be a bit of a focus this game for Uniboy.
Yeah, look, I don't think teams realize that when they make these hovers, sometimes they actually do give over information, and by hovering that Ari for as long as they did, I really do think that they kind of showed their hand a little bit to DFM as the ban's starting to come through. They've taken that Na away again. They do not want Ijung on that Na. He is a bit of a monster. When I think of Na, I think of Kiaya, and then I think of Ijung, so it's a good ban. Nautilus, a great general ban, super strong, great engage, very tanky. Galio, it speaks to me that Fisher wants to go for like a very strong 8. I mean, as I'm saying it, okay, I should have said it quicker. Orianna locked in potentially here for Fisher in the mid lane.
Yeah, we can't trust any of these hovers just yet. We've seen players hover some stuff, pick some other ones. But yeah, getting that Orianna early, not going to have the ball delivery system of the Nocturne, but I'm sure we're going to see something that aids it in the jungle. We also don't have the traditional J4, which is a common combo, but a common combo we will be getting, Lucian Milio. With Betty's Lucian, we could have a very quick game on our hands, Logan. We could absolutely have a sweep.
This is dangerous. This is a wonderful win condition for GZ. The fact that they were just able to hard slam this bot lane duo, they knew exactly what they were doing when they came into this game 3 here. I love it. It's a statement. It's strong. If they go with the Lulu here, I think it's going to be a Yunara pickup for Karkun, because now that GZ have revealed their bot lane, DFM can lock it in for themselves. We saw the Yunara hover. There may be toying with that Cogmore, not as regular, not as a traditional pick, but it could definitely work with that range extension as well. The ultimate being able to just kind of run in and blow up, and there's Yunara. It's becoming a quick classic pairing.
Yeah, that Lulu Yunara, so potent, so strong, and a nice little counter into the Lucian Milio. I was really confused by the Cogmore Lulu. Now, of course, that is a common pairing, but into the mobility of a Lucian, the ability to weave in and out of that auto attack range, it gives a bit more prio and priority for GZ's bot lane. Here, though, we might be getting that Pantheon you were so seeking for. Now, this could be anywhere. I'm thinking it's most likely in the jungle on Hush's hands. We've seen him play that Pantheon before. We've seen him so good with it. But honestly, if Ijung's on it, you won't catch me complaining either.
Yeah, I really do like this Pantheon pick. They're going to be punishing this mid lane. Orianna's biggest weakness is she's very, very immobile. Even if she does pick up that Hextech Proto Belt, it gives a little bit of mobility, but it's still not enough when Pantheon decides it's your time. But we are here for the second round of those bans, and they take away Kiana from DFM. That sort of jungle assassin, if you will. We have seen Citrus on her twice. He does favor that jungler, so a good ban there. And Vayne taken away as well. That's an interesting ban. It does make me wonder what they want to put up in that top side for Momo. Maybe it's a protection ban there, because Momo may not feel overly confident into that range topside matchup. Leads me to think, will they ban that Varus? Time will tell.
A lot of options, and a big problem for DFM, especially banning out that Vayne, is it is impossible to ban out Ijang. I mean, we've seen him on such strange picks just tonight. The Anivia, the Ambessa. This man can play anything, and there's any champion you can see up in that top lane, especially in this meta. So I'm interested to see, even if that Vayne is banned, yeah, we could be seeing something along the lines of a Varus or any sort of aggressive, even a mage top is potential. I would love to see, combined with that Pantheon, this is a bit of a rare pairing. You don't see too often, but a Renekton. It's a really classic pick. And combined with the Pantheon, you have such a strong, bursty frontline. You can just blow away anyone, and you have survivability. But we're going to get Uniboy on the Zoe, Logan. That's a pick you don't see too often.
Yeah, I definitely like seeing Zoe's because it is so unusual. This is, to me, almost MVK levels of drafting, right? Like, they cook, they have so many chefs in the kitchen, and more often than not, it works out for the better. But if that Yasuo is locked in, I think the Wind Wall will get such value against this Zoe. But Renekton slammed there. That will absolutely go in that top side for Momo here. And it does make me wonder what their last pick will be. It will be the jungler.
Oh.
Zac could be interesting.
A Zac? That's an insane pickup. A Zac could actually be pivotal here. With this sort of bursty playstyle that GC are building, Zac's survivability could actually be the key at controlling the game. It might just be a Wukong, and said they don't want to risk it. It's the Wukong. Still a great pickup, as they're hovering a couple ADCs for the likes of GZ here.
Yeah, I kind of liked the toying around with our hopes and dreams. Like, imagine a game with a Lucian Sivir on it. Like, so much damage, but then they wouldn't have a front line. And that's GZ's biggest weakness right now. They need a tank in that top lane. Something to be able to soak and absorb the damage that DFM will be looking to put down. Because right now, they're just like, what do we have? An Aegis from that Pantheon? Say it ain't so. Oh no! The last second switch to Mundo. I genuinely thought they were going to lock in the Riven.
Yeah, I would have loved to see a Riven. I mean, that champion is insane, especially on people that can pilot Riven. That champion is can be certainly the lobby admin. Instead, we get the Mundo. You're safe. You're scaling pick. Not a overly controlling pick for the likes of Ijang. A bit of a sort of get back in the passenger seat. We need to scale up. We need to get a couple items online. But once we're online, we are going to be very hard to put down. What that does mean is it gives Momo the prio in this top lane. This Renekton can control the top side of the map for the first 15 minutes. And maybe we might get a bit more pressure going back to that first game, looking for the early game snowball. But with the safety of a Yunara scaling in the background, DFM have refined their comp and are looking to maybe take away this game.
Yeah, DFM's composition definitely speaks of synergy, right? They've got a solid frontline core with that Renekton, with that Wukong, the Cyclones, the Bruiser builds, the sustain from Renekton. I really, really like that. Obviously, Mundo and Pantheon no slouches themselves. Mundo goes where he pleases, as his passive actually is called, so, you know, that kind of works. But I don't think Pantheon is as tanky. He can melt like paper when his Aegis Assault is down. The backlines, they're pretty solid, they're pretty usual. We've got an AP-AD mid for sort of AP-AD damage duo for both teams here, and we are on Summoner's Rift for what could potentially be our last game of tonight's best of 5 between GZ and DFM, because GZ have asserted control early. They're up 2-0. They have match point.
Yeah, it certainly could be game 3. Hopefully, I'm hoping it isn't. And honestly, out of the two games that we've played, and now we're into the third one, this comp from DFM has the strongest standings of taking out this game. I really do think one weakness I find in GZ's comp is Uniboy's opted to go for the Ignite. And if he can't make good use of that early, if he can't get a couple solo kills on this Orianna, without the sort of mobility or map control that TP or potentially Ghost or another summoner spell gives you and gives that utility, Citrus could look for a couple angles once that Command Shockwave comes online, and we could be looking at a jungle mid duo taking over the game with Citrus and Fisher here. We'll have to see, though. Time will tell.
Yeah, exactly. As top lane, they are just trading. We see Ijang trying to farm grass. Bot side, Karkun playing against Betty. Heals popped on both sides. And I do want to shout out both supports. They went with that Winter Wonder skin line for both Milio and Lulu. So, you know, one of those, hey, you need to get changed. No, you need to get changed. We can't both be wearing the same thing. Betty hits that level 2 and dives on to Karkun. But these junglers, they're also matching each other's paths. They're both moving to the bot side of their respective jungles, and I'll be looking for Husha to make some plays. He's got that kind of semi-global ultimate. He needs to be proactive. He needs to start getting his lanes ahead the moment he hits level 6, because they'll be able to get that numbers advantage, Leo.
Yeah, and that is going to be key. The problem is, and as is a common question, is it's revealing your hand. It really is revealing your hand for GZ, because at the end of the day, Husha doesn't really want to look bot. Once that ultimate, you know, the Starfall comes online, it's not an easy gank. With the knock-up that Lulu has available, the shield vault can completely be blocked. It can just buff it and interrupted. And your main sort of stun, your main engage tool can be completely destroyed. And if you're using all your resources bot, it means your other laners, it means Citrus can aid the other lanes which so need help. And that's actually where I want to have Citrus be. I really want to see him angle for top, get Ijang behind. We've seen how useful Ijang is in all of these fights and all of these past games. If we can get a couple dives going on this top lane, if we can get a bit of a snowball for Momo here, get Ijang behind, we could allow and buy enough time for DFM to take control and wrest control of this game. And I kind of like this, and I'm seeing this in the builds. Karkun's gone for the cull, so maybe there's been a bit of a discussion and says, okay, you know, let me just scale, let Citrus focus on that top side. But we'll have to see if that actually has been discussed in the team.
Yeah, one thing I do love about top laners, Karkun goes into Betty aggressively, Betty low, Karkun even lower, those supports doing so much work. Betty fights against Karkun! First blood to Betty!
Wow, I mean, that right there is funny. We were just talking about how Karkun had a cull, a traditional scaling item that you want to play safe with and scale. Instead, he's taking these heavy trades into a Lucian level 4. He's at his heyday. He loves these early engages. He's got a Milio to back him up. Don't hold that wave, Woody. It's going to be a tough time, but that early kill onto Betty, that's the win con for GZ, and they've just started the ball rolling strong.
But this is exactly what I expected out of this bot lane of GZ, right? You don't pick Lucian Milio to sit there passively and let your opponent scale. As we take another look at this bot side fight, and it's just Betty gliding forward into the face of Karkun, and Karkun, he just, I don't know, he decides, yes, I want to fight this, and it's that passive, that light slinger, the piercing light that comes through from Lucian, gets the job done. And now look at Betty's position.
Yeah, I mean, so already immediately so dominant, picking up the Caulfield's Warhammer, making his way probably towards that Essence Reaver. Must have not had enough of an easy time getting the full sheen, often enjoyed, as we get a gank from
Karkun
Husha.
under attack here, Husha engaged. Early roam pays dividends. Oh. They are getting Betty ahead. Betty looking for more onto Woody, just trying to drive that support away, but good job by Husha there.
Yunara commonly needs a lot of items, and taking 2 deaths, losing a cannon wave at that. We're looking immediately, Logan, at almost 1k gold lead at 5 minutes into the game for Betty. This is going to be a rough game for DFM to take control back of.
Yeah, I mean, you were talking about Citrus going to that top side, working with Momo, who does have the advantage, he does have that priority, and trying to keep Ijang down. But how is Citrus going to find time to go up there when GZ are just hyper-focusing this bot lane duo of DFMs? Karkun is already 0-2 in the first 6 minutes. It's not the position you want to be in, because the first Drake of the game is up. GZ have the priority. They're clearing that vision control of DFMs. They have no way in. They're already being suffocated out as they claim that sort of first Infernal Drake here, Leo. It's looking good for GZ.
It is, and this is how this whole series has gone. GZ have created these positions where it's pretty impossible to make a choice.
Yeah, clones away. Izhang, good job rotating down there. I liked that rotation from GZ. We saw Uniboy and Izhang Kaiwing aggressing onto Woody. The slide forward from Betty there. Woody taking a lot of damage. Oh, I was scared that Betty was about to hit that culling. He's 1 minion away now. There it is.
There it is.
He is online.
Yeah, but this is the problem, and I really think this is sort of a tribute to how GZ have played these 3 games. They've created situations where DFM have to choose or make decisions, but there's too many decisions to make in that first game. Who do you go on? They've all got Zhonya's, they've all got shielding, they've got a Knight's Vow. And the same case is just with the gameplay of this game and how GZ have played it. Okay, we get you're going to want to play topside, you're going to want to play the Mundo, but I'm going to put so much pressure. Husho's going to put so much pressure onto their bot lane that you then can't play topside. You need to counteract the pressure I'm putting bot lane, but then this Mundo's just going to scale. So there's too many options for DFM to choose. There's too many positions that they need to take, and it just creates a win-win for GZ, as we've seen through the start of this game.
Yeah, exactly. Like, who is going to be able to stand up to this Mundo if Yunara can't? If she's slow to get that Kraken Slayer, if she's slow to get that belt with the crits on auto activation, there's going to be no one to cut through that health bar of that Mundo, as we do see that first rotation coming through. The bot side of DFM is working their way to that top, and look at this. It's so unusual. The support has the level advantage over the AD carry because Woody has lived every single engage. She's just been able to soak, absorb all the XP, whereas Karkun has been missing out. Momo, though, is just here. Husha just trying to zone him away, which leaves Betty and Kaiwing to free farm this bot wave, Leo.
Absolutely, and you're perfectly fine giving up these grubs. You don't care for the grubs. You've got Illusion Milio. You've got the best team fighters in the mid and early game. You just know DFM is never going to get in a position to split push. So you're fine just getting this ADC ahead, hovering him. Momo can't even get to lane. So that entire strategy of having a Renekton, oh, I've got such an early game presence, he can't make it to a lane to even exert that presence. And we just get a really tough time for Momo to even walk in. Look at this.
Yeah, I mean, Momo has to be so careful. Betty rips the culling him. Momo is getting chipped down. It won't kill him. But yeah, Momo literally being bullied out of wave. Where is Citrus? He just hasn't been in any of these lanes, but Husha has already impacted that bot side lane, getting Betty and Kaiwing so far ahead. They've got a gold level lead over Essence. Reaver coming through for Betty at 9.5 minutes. Oh, Fisher finds a shockwave onto Uniboy. Uniboy needs to be careful here. The return fire is good. He will walk away with his life. Fisher gets some advantage.
Fisher does get a little bit of advantage there, but it's not enough. Uh-oh, Grand Starfall, Logan.
Husha's in the back line. He's on to Woody. They need to be careful. Citrus with the Cyclone will knock up Husha. Betty there in line with Citrus. Clones over the wall is able to escape here. Multiple members of DFM are on the retreat. 4 members from GZ. Reminder, no ultimate for that. Orianna can't get that damage down. I think they get away just in time. That Starfall well placed, but the Cyclone from Citrus even better.
Yeah, I mean, it might look a little bit good for DFM there. We stopped that Pantheon engage, and sure, we burn that Starfall with this Dragon coming up in 50 seconds. But with Betty having an Essence Reaver, there's not a world which you can fight this. I mean, I can't even attribute any of these waves. There's about 4 waves that have just been lost in this bot lane due to the control that Betty and Husha have exerted over it, that we are so far behind. I mean, it's only 10 minutes.
Momo needs to be careful here. Dominus popped. Izhang very nearly goes down there. He trades back well into Momo. Nothing happens. I got to admit, I get so excited over these top lane fights, and I really, really shouldn't, because ultimately they're just like, we just traded a little bit of health bar here. But we are now 11 minutes in the game, Leo. What can you tell us about what we're looking at across the rift here?
We're looking at just a strong dominance for the likes of GZ. We've got a 1.6k gold lead. We have full prio over this river. This Betty is like a lighthouse, and wherever they shine their light, it belongs to GZ. we are just going to get a complete control over this dragon. They're going to set up that second Drake pickup. And the problem is, we're going to have Rift Herald in 3 minutes, and unless we can get, unless DFM can pick up a pick or anything, GZ are just going to take the bot tower, they can take the Rift Herald, set up the mid tower, and confirm the third Drake, and take out this entire game. What we need is a huge shakeup, and that shakeup is only really going to be found through the ultimates of Citrus and Fisher. So the eyes are on Citrus and Fisher finding an angle in this game, potentially catching out Uniboy, because Betty's impossible to catch out because he has the breath of life from Milio. And that Drake going over, that's the second Drake, and look how bad it is. Lukaku in here under this tower.
Betty aggressing forward with that culling will not get them, but it pushes them further away. The thing, though, is Betty is just standing there in the faces of Kaku and Woody. There's nothing that they can do against him. Betty's now 30 CS up over Kaku, and he hasn't even completed his first item yet, and he just took a recall. We do see that Izhang 20 CS up. Momo, Izhang trading just a little bit back and forth. The health bar's going low, but both of them have so much sustain. And there it is. Betty takes the first turret of the game.
Going over, I really want to point out something insane there is this Mundo, typically an early game, a very weak early game, into the likes of Renekton, very strong early game, was 2 levels behind without any deaths. All that is perfect wave management, help from Husha, but he's barely been top lane. And it just shows the strength of Izhang on any pick that he wants. And we can see, I mean, now that the lighthouse is in mid lane, Fisher takes 2 autos, that's half of his health completely gone. You have to contest this mid tower, but you can't because they're so powerful. And we got a minute to this Rift Herald. We control your jungle, we control your river, we control your mid lane. Where don't GZ control?
Yeah, exactly. There's nowhere that GZ can't go safely right now because they're that far ahead. They have so much control. Yes, it's only 2 kills to 0, but it's a 2.5k gold lead. It's 2 Drakes. DFM, sure, you got the Krubs, but that feels more like a consolation prize in this situation. Momo needs to be careful here. Husha caught out, is stunned up. Fisher has arrived. Husha is in a 1v2. He goes down. Kaiwing might be caught out. The support arrives late. Betty's here. He has the damage. Can he get it done against Fisher? No, he just pokes him away. GZ will retreat as good play comes through from DFM. They cut the gold lead by 700.
That changes things completely. DFM pick up their first kill, specifically on Husha here, means there's a chance that they could contest this Rift Herald. But something I want to point out is respawn timers are so low that Husha will be alive again. As we can see this replay, I mean, Uniboy lands the sleep, doesn't get the fully charged Paddle Star from the Zoe, but pokes it down enough to sort of, I guess, bring Husha in. Once again, you can't underestimate this Renekton. It is an early game threat. He's got 2 levels on this Pantheon. Dominus popped, and then it's a nice little roam from Fisher to catch out a slightly overconfident Husha. That Breath of Light, just not enough.
Absolutely. That did speak of overconfidence. Husha was spotted on the ward and kept going for it anyway. And even Uniboy on that Zoe copped 2 turret shots before the kind of dive onto Momo truly began. And the gold went exactly where you want it. Onto your mid laner, onto Orianna in that Uniboy Kaiwing. Kind of getting clipped here on the bot side. TP being committed. GZ, they want this. Culling committed here as well. Betty just zoning DFM away. It does next to no damage, but that's a Mundo with a Warmogs. The fight starting to break out here. Karkun chipping away at Izhang. Flash forward there from Citrus with the Cyclone onto multiple members. Husha just running away. Nothing he can do. Izhang melting in the face of 4 members of DFM. He has to pop Awesome away. He's in that mid lane. DFM win the fight. Do they win the Herald? Yes! They take the Herald as well. They deny GZ their advantage, their priority, their position. They take the fight. They take the Rift Herald here, Leo, and they've evened the score.
DFM are back in the game completely. They're going to get the crash on this mid tower. They're going to get a nice little gold lead. And a big point out is Fisher. 1.2k gold lead. We said at the start, the way they get back in this fight catching someone out, specifically Betty, with the combo. Here it comes. It's the Cyclone. Watch the monkey. The Cyclone Shockwave combo. Citrus, Flash, Engage, Cyclone, Shockwave. We've taken out their main threat. That's where all the money is. And now you have control over the team fight. Yes, okay, Mundo's got the Warmogs, but he's just a walking health bar. He doesn't have any damage at this point. We have early game pressure. We have a Renekton. And there we can see we've clawed our way back on the sides of DFM. Just from positioning and fighting, and I want to point out, might not have time.
Yeah, Husha goes in here. They think they try and catch Citrus, but it is actually the clone. Amazing timing. Good juke, but GZ, they've brought more members, DFM. They need to be careful. Momo still on that top side will get this turret, securing a bit more gold as DFM start to extend their gold lead here. First to the Drake, though. This could be GZ's third if DFM don't contest this one, and the gold graph tells no lies.
Yeah, and a big problem is, yes, okay, we won that Rift Herald fight. We just can't contest this Chemtech Drake because we've used all our ultimates. And our key ultimate, that Shockwave, is on cooldown for a fair bit of time. Now, Momo picked up that top tower, picked up a couple plates on that secondary tower, which means he's rested a little bit of money in the bank, I should say. But all the while, Betty's picked up the Navori Flicker Blades. Access to multiple dashes, you know, refreshing those dashes. This is going to be a tricky Lucian to catch. And I want to point out, the reason why that last Rift Herald fight went so well is Milio didn't have the ultimate, that Breath of Life, providing that tenacity, providing that CC escape. So Betty was just at the whims of the Wukong. And it's really the lifeline of this Lucian because every member of DFM want to just engage solely on this Lucian. The other members aren't that much of a threat, and it's a bit of a shake-up from the other side of GZ's comps, which we've seen throughout the other games, where they had multiple threats throughout the game, and it might lead to their downfall, Logan.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a good point. Husha has kind of fallen off from that early game aggression. Citrus with that killer instinct, like you said, flashing forward with the Cyclone, with the Shockwave, removing Betty from the game. But the longer this game goes, the better it feels for Izhang on that Mundo. He does have that War Mogs completed, the Ruby Crystal, the Doran Shield, so the survivability coming online, and Husha doing like 20% of Woody's health there with the Comet Spear, but right now, GZ find themselves on soul point. One more Drake. They will collect that soul as Citrus moves in to steal the camp away. Good smite. DFM just hovering, keeping Citrus safe, trying to keep their jungler in the game, standing tall, standing strong against Husha. And Momo, he's just he's split pushing. He's happy over in that top lane. He's like, yep, I've got TP. I can join any fight. Just let me know.
Well, we saw that in the first game, Logan. Do you remember in the Baron fight where he was just pushing the tier 2 bot? He's loving a bit of a split push, and it's given him a little lead. Gakken goes for a tiny little trade there. It's given him a little lead, and honestly, it's not too bad because there's nothing to fight for. Yes, okay, Baron is spawning 20 minutes, that famous timeline for it, but they're not going to be able to contest it at all. Here's the thing that I'm worried about, and it's in this 2 minutes 30 where this Chemtech Drake lies. Pantheon is an amazing dragon securer. That Comet Spear with the execution combined with Smite. Wukong doesn't really have that potential. So not only can you afford to fight, you can choose to sort of use that Grand Starfall, get into the backline, but they could also just go for a steal angle. So GZ have multiple options that they can take and have the potential to use, because all they want, they don't really care about losing the fight, because this Chemtech Drake on a Mundo will change the game completely. It will make him 10 times harder to kill, specifically that 10% durability. And he's already pretty hard to kill, as you can see right here. Heart Steel Clink.
That's it. He just finished that item, locked it in, and now he really wants to be in your faces. He really wants to be trading as we find ourselves in a little bit of a lull. Both teams not willing to give kills over. DFM, one turret, GZ, one as well. Betty, Kaiwing, they need to be careful. More members of DFM here. As Izhang, he just, literally takes the turret. Ooh, Kakun needs to be careful. Izhang has found an angle. TP committed. Izhang might have gone a little too deep. Pops that ultimate there. Citrus in response. DFM, they look a bit confused. They don't know what they want to do as Izhang is recovering his health bar. They're buying time. They want more members of GZ. Izhang advancing forward because that Drake is still a minute away. I don't think much will come from this. Only a couple of ultimates and a TP committed for ultimately not much of anything.
Yeah, that was a bit of a strange one, that's for sure. It cost the Mundo ultimate, which is pretty key. Pretty pivotal in a lot of these fights. Losing that before the Drake might be big because Momo actually didn't pop the Dominus. So coming into this fight, we have all flashes up for DFM. And trust me when I say this, they cannot give this dragon. They absolutely have to fight this dragon. And something that is going to be pivotal to fight as well is the vision control. Both Enchanter support, so neither can sort of face check bushes. We're going to need our teams to utilize this. Now, something else that comes up is... Oh, yeah, sorry, go.
No, you're good. I was going to say exactly. Vision control is so important and priority. Husha, though. Husha's been found. Citrus clones over the wall. He cyclones immediately. The shockwave collects Husha, though. He's still living. It's so long. GZ buying the time to TP in. Izhang walking forward. Uniboy on the wrong side of the team. Good polymorph there to break up what Izhang wants to do. Momo getting very low. Has that dominance. Tanking the world. Kakun cannot crack this Mundo. Momo finds a way onto Betty. Betty goes down. DFM have all the advantage. Izhang left alone. Kaiwing has to disengage. Fisher on the bot side. Can GZ collect something else here? It is a support versus a mid laner. Fisher trying to get it. He will collect it. Gets the double kill. DFM route GZ 4-1. Izhang not done. He gets Fisher. Can he stop them from getting the Drake? He's onto Woody. 2 more hits. Woody should die here. He gets Woody as well. Momo going low. Will he die to the Drake? Will he die to Izhang? Find out in a second. Kakun has the damage. He needs to get away. Izhang is going where he pleases.
Level 16 on this Mundo. Popping that ult.
Oh, he cooks him
got
with the
no
slow. There's no mana on Kakun. He's caught him. Izhang has got Kakun as well. Izhang is unstoppable.
He's 4-0. He goes where he pleases. It's an understatement. He's taking over this whole game. They do take the Drake. For DFM, though, it's this catch-out on Pantheon. No vision in that mid-bush, and it's a beautiful catch-out indeed. We were sort of talking about Momo splitting. Once this team fight started, keep your eyes on Momo and keep your eyes where he travels straight onto Betty. That is the threat of this team fight. The moment that the Lulu slow lands, he jumps in, slice and dice, and applies enough damage for Kakun to follow up with a flash takeout. But here is the problem. This Mundo has become quite the threat. Has got the Warmogs to heal up and is coming in to a bit of a threat. And your only real way of dealing with it is that Yunara. But even with that Yunara, I mean, he can pretty much solo your entire team without getting down to half there. And this Drake was a lot closer than you'd think it would be after wiping out 4 members of GZ, Logan.
Yeah, in that position, you would basically think you absolutely had a free Drake. But this is Izhang on Mundo. Izhang is probably one of the top 3 top laners in the LCP. He cannot be underestimated. And look at that damage. He outdid everybody, even Fisher on that Orianna, even Kakun on that Yunara here as they're just taking a little look. But what I was saying during the middle of that fight as well is Kakun for a few seconds was free firing on Izhang, and it looked like he barely tickled that Mundo. That's 237 stacks on the Heartsteel, Warmogs, Boots of Swiftness. He's resistant to slows, but DFM, they've started up the Baron. It will be spotted.
Yeah, this is a really risky Baron, but honestly, there's no TP on Izhang. You had maybe an opportunity, but Betty's still a threat. And yeah, I mean, I really want to bring it back to what you said there. So Yunara was free firing on that Mundo for so long. Logan, Izhang doesn't have any armor. He's got no armor, and that's just
doesn't
raw
need it.
Health.
Husha takes out Fisher on the top side. We'll have to see a replay to see how that one came out, but it was a 2v2. Citrus too late to that fight. Izhang looking for more. Oh, the clone was spectacular.
Honestly, Citrus's clones this entire game have been running Husha for a bit of a loop. But it's still going to be a nice cleanup on Fisher there. The culling going a little bit wide, not able to finish it off, but it might be enough prio to get this mid lane turret cracked.
Betty's looking for more. He's actually gone past the tower here. Okay, good poke. All right. Sorry, back to you, Leo. I got excited.
No, listen, and this really is an exciting game because, can I be honest with you, Logan? It's not anyone's game yet. Honestly, both sides. I mean, we talked about this coming out of the break from game 2. It hasn't been a sweep. Yes, okay, there's a 2k gold lead for the side of GZ. And yes, okay, a big chunk of that is on Ejiang, but it's still close as anything as Uniboy lands a beautiful bubble. That's where our damage came from. And it must have been a comet. It must have been yeah, there it is, the Grand Starfall. E to speed up, but it doesn't even, it's not even needed as a beautiful little cleanup. But yeah, no, this game is still close as anything. The problem is, and the problem that is going to be very visible for the DFM squad is this Mundo. 1.5k gold, a minute to the Drake. You've got a beautiful team comp, and it relies around blowing up a couple members of GZ. But your team comp falls down when you gotta blow up a Mundo with a Spirit Visions, a Warden's Mail online. How are they gonna deal with this Mundo, Logan?
Yeah, not only does he have a massive health bar, he has armor, he has MR, he has extra healing. I mean, the heal cut is coming through from DFM. That Oblivion Orb picked up by the Lulu. Not the best sort of champion to apply it, but the more the merrier here to try and overcome this Mundo. Husha on the build for that GA. Citrus just level 14 now though, so there is some level, advantages going on. But I do want to point out Karkun just picked up that LDR. So hopefully this Yunara will be able to start chipping away at that health bar of Mundo. Ejiang is just walking forward fearlessly.
He's got nothing to fear. He has nothing to fear because they have no answers to deal with him.
Oh, the Grand Starfall here. Husha gets the stun on the Fisher. It's a full culling on the Fisher. Fisher's blown up and dead. Ejiang zoning the rest of DFM. Citrus has to clone away. They are on the defensive. They are on the retreat. The fire kick just misses. The flash from Citrus away. Ejiang does not care. He's walking into the faces of 3 and he's still winning that fight. The polymorph coming through to break that CC. Uniboy on the backside trying to apply that damage, but it is Ejiang versus the world and he likes these odds. He's going to take it to DFM. Woody here playing with Uniboy, trying to escape, but Uniboy will have the damage. He will finish Woody off. It will be a clean ace as GZ, they march down the mid lane of DFM's Nexus. Surely GZ look to end it here another 20 plus seconds before the other 4 members are alive. What can't Ejiang do on this Mundo? GZ, they're going to sweep DFM 3-0 here tonight in the LCP. A clean sheet. Nothing DFM could do.
What a game. What a crazy game. I mean, GZ, a team looking so strong. Ejiang is a team in of itself. This Mundo is 5 players stacked into one, just straight walking into the likes of an ADC with 3 items, into a Lulu, into an Oriana. There's nothing that DFM could do. And Ground Zero could take their bows with absolute confidence because they played these 3 games perfectly. They played them so well, so much mastery over champion, over micro, over macro, over mental, and honestly, it was a well-deserved clean sweep. Logan, I mean, these players, Ejiang, an insane performance over all 3 games, no?
Yeah, look, quite frankly, that is what I think the LCP has come to expect of Ejiang in that top side. I think people wouldn't disagree too strongly with me when I say he's definitely one of the top 3 top laners here in the LCP. He's quite competitive. He's very reliable. I think GZ can definitely play around him, but not to be outclassed, not to be outdone. Husha had great games as well. Uniboy a little quiet in that game 3, but good games in 1 and 2. Betty popped off hard and early, enabled by Husha as well in this game 3, and Kaiwing was everywhere he needed to be at the right time. This was GZ online. They only scaled up over each of these games.
Yeah, it was a real forcing Citrus into these positions where he just felt powerless. You can't go bot, you can't go top, you have to match me, you can't match me here, I'm going to take objective after objective. And that's a real point that I want to really bring to the fold was objective control. I mean, GZ, I'd love to see a statistic. I wasn't keeping true, keeping up with it, but they seemed like they caught every single dragon, every single grub, and pretty much every Rift Herald, and the only times they let them go was when they were trading something that they were completely fine taking the trade over either way.
And that's it, to your point of the macro, right? It's these higher level decisions, these cross-map decisions that lead to advantages. It leads to these tempo gains as we take another look here. And I have to think, Leo, my player of the match is definitely going to be Ejung, right? I really think he deserves it. He frontlined so effectively. He played such a broad range of champions with that Anivia, with that Ambessa, and then into the Mundo. So just the different styles as well, I think worked excellently in his favor. He was who he needed to be when he needed to be for GZ. And if this clip, he's just farming. Like, they can't stop him. They can't kill him. He's aura farming DFM live before our eyes.
I swear to God, Logan, if he had stolen that dragon with one briefcase, you saw it as I did. It had like 83 health. If he had stolen that dragon, it would have been insane. But I agree completely. I think, if you're talking MVPs, if you're talking greatest players, right there on your screen is all you need to see. 3 very different champions. This man has a pool, has an ocean. He can play the AP range top to perfection. He can play the aggressive bruiser top to perfection, and he can play that late game scaling juggernaut to perfection. Look at the damage per minute, look at the KP, and honestly, just the general damage percentage breakup. He has so much impact on these games, Logan.
Yeah, he's literally proving the point of what we were saying, scaling over the games. His damage improved, his damage percentage improved, his KP stayed pretty consistent, his KDA was pretty consistent. He just didn't take a step backwards, the true ground zero way here tonight. And yeah, you know what? I got to claim credit for this one. I predicted 3-0 clean sweep to GZ, and they absolutely delivered here as we go through a reel of highlights from tonight's match. And it started here. I liked the aggression coming out of DFM. They were trying to match what GZ had, but GZ just outclassed them. They had the micro a little bit better, especially their timings. Husha, I loved his aggression. Sometimes he was punished for it, but frankly, I almost feel like that's part of being a jungler, right? Like you've got to surprise, you've got to take the initiative, you've got to start these fights off, and more often than not, you'll get rewarded, but sometimes it kind of does fall over.
No, I actually really want to speak on that point because I think you're dead right. First of all, absolute, you were on the money. You got the predictions dead right, and I think you should be congratulated for that. But I do want to say that sort of surprise factor, I don't know what you want to call that exactly, but the surprise factor, that overconfidence from Husha, and you can see here in this clip, sometimes it really is your detriment, but sometimes it's what you need from a jungler. You need the way to find these weird angles, and a good example of where a jungler can learn from that, like Citrus, is in the first game. When we have these comps, the Neferi, we have these, the Rakan, where you need to find weird angles, especially into the likes of a control comp that GZ brought with the Victor and the Anivia. You need an aggressive jungler. You need to find weird ways to play. And I think Husha is the perfect encapsulation of what a good jungler can be, what they can provide. And yeah, from another perspective, it might seem like overconfidence, but honestly, from my perspective, it's a complete understanding of the angles that you need to find and need to look for in these games. And I really do think, yes, okay, Ejung played perfectly, but it was with the facilitation of Husha constantly providing all the utility that he needed to take over every game.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is a team game. If Yizheng did try to walk into 5 members of DFM without the rest of GZ, he absolutely would have died. But it's the pressure, it's the CC, it's the soaking of damage, it's the multiple potential targets that the rest of your team provides. It creates moments of indecision that allows your bigger players to take over. But that was a clean 3-0 sweep from the PCS's Ground Zero Gaming over the LJL's Detonation. Focus me here tonight, Leo, and looking ahead with these seeding matches, we're in for another spectacular game with Team Secret Wales versus CFO. That's tomorrow night. That'll be spectacular if I do say so myself.
Yeah, that's going to be a pretty crazy game. I mean, Secret Wales, unassumably the GOATs, as I would say. I think that's quite biased for me. But you know what? I do want to say that's not going to be. I'm interested to hear your predictions on that. Don't tell me. I'll wait it out for that one. I'm interested to see because CFO were looking very strong, and I'm a bit mixed on how I want that game to go, honestly.
Look, we were talking about it just, I think it was yesterday or the day before, we were talking about CFO, like, it feels like they're back in form, it feels like Doggo has found his ways, and I was going to say, oh, it's the CFO of 2025, but no, that would be unfair, because this is the CFO of 2026. They struggled, they persevered, they changed their rosters, and now they've come out the other side of that with a renewed, reinvigorated, ready to roar Doggo on that bot side. But Leo, before we close out tonight's show, do you have any final thoughts to leave us with after that series?
Oh my god, it was it really was a beautiful series, and I think the only thoughts I can have is, besides of course the thanks for having me on and allowing me to just witness these beauties of a game, I want to say every player played brilliantly. I do want to say, and I really do think while it was a clean sweep, it wasn't over for DFM at any point. They really provided and kept their mental strong. And I think for every league player, it's important to remember, mental is honestly everything. And watching these games keeps my mental very high, Logan.
You love to hear it. Well, that is all from us here in the LCP. My name is Logan. That is Leo, and it has been our pleasure to take you through tonight's best of 5 series that went to 3 with a GZ clean sweep. But make sure you tune in tomorrow night. It is CFO versus Team Secret Wales, which will be sure to go the distance. Good night, everyone. Here in the LCP, we're made for this.